Well, good morning, everybody. Hey, happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. I can't hardly believe we're almost going into May. we are just around the corner. I believe that Monday is May, right? So before you know it, April flowers, or what is it? April showers will bring May flowers or something like that. So, and I've shown you in some of the reels in that we've already got flowers here in Oconto. I'm guessing other places do as well. But really an interesting winter we had, isn't it? Really an interesting winter. So we're going to present a Swedish beauty today. And this particular one is out of California. And I don't know much about the town that this machine came from. So if anyone wants to look it up and type in some interesting stuff about Torrance, California. Torrance, California is where this machine is from, and it belongs to Sandra McCarthy. Sandra McCarthy, professional business woman, and does quite a bit of traveling. It's always hard to connect with her. And of course, it's kind of tough to connect with me sometimes too. But she's a real passionate sewist with the time that she has available, and really excited to get this machine back out to Torrance, California, and put it to work doing different projects that she has lined up. And because she wasn't real specific about the type of projects that she's going to be doing, I prepped kind of a wide field of sew-offs that we can consider doing during this live stream today. I'll show you some of the materials that I already pre-cut. And I mean, it's probably better than we normally go. And yes, does anyone else enjoy Tic Tacs in the morning? It's, I don't know, it just kind of gives you a little bit of a spice, doesn't it? I love Tic Tacs whenever I can have those. Okay, so materials. We've got satin here. We've got velvet, genuine elk hide, saddle grade leather, protected full grain leather. This is my little sew off pile over here that I've already done on this needle that we're going to be using. We're going to be using a 9014 Schmetz leather needle today. We've done that before. I've got obviously denim, 100% cotton, compressed felt, bubblegum material, and also I dug out, I haven't shown this for a while, I dug out some commercial grade canvas. This is a real heavy canvas. I wish you could feel it with your own fingers. It is rugged stuff, and we'll be doing somewhere between 4 to 6 layers of that. I haven't decided yet. 4 to 6 layers of this commercial canvas material and bubblegum material and all the other stuff you can see there. And the only cam that I have in this Swedish beauty right now is the revised A cam. Now, if anyone really wants me to demonstrate some of the other cams, I'll have to go out into the overflow area to get them. But the other cams that I could demonstrate on this Swedish beauty is cam B, C, D, and E. I think I've only shown the E cam a couple of times. It's very rare. The D cam is difficult to find as well. Some of you might remember Hans Christian from Norway. He helped me out on the page for a while, did a contest with us and some other fun stuff like that. And he had been searching high and low over in Norway and even in Sweden looking for a Cam D, never could find it. So I happened to have an extra Cam D in my collection, so I mailed it to him in Norway, and along with some candy as well. And you know, all of us like candy. We recently mailed that goodie package off to Alex Askarov in England for he and Yana, and then also their grandchildren. And it was only opened up, and Alex was already into the candy that we stuck in there as an encouragement as he goes through chemotherapy for the rare cancer that he's battling right now. So all of us that I know of like candy of one form or another. For some of it's chocolate. For others, it's chewy candy. For others, it's saltwater taffy. Any one of you could type into the live chat, what is your candy of passion? What do you absolutely love? treating yourself with occasionally. And we try to do less of it during the winter time because we're not as active in the winter. But come summertime, I'm into Tic Tacs, and I like sweet and sour type candies as well. All of you probably have your favorites that you could share also. So let's take a look at this machine that we're going to be sewing off on today. And I'll look at the live chat as well before I do that and kind of say good morning and welcome some folks as well as we jump into this live stream. And if any of if any of our new friends, I better slow down. My tongue is getting trampled on. If any of our new friends are present, either in the live chat or in the shadows from Bernina, USA, welcome. Great to have you here. Also, we have some new friends that are following our work from Sewing Parts Online as well. As a matter of fact, I had a fun little exchange with the Sewing Parts Online folks, whoever run their thing on Facebook, and they had posted the picture of a cool contemporary computerized machine that was donated by Bernina, so that Sewing Parts Online through Facebook could do a giveaway. And I typed in there wonderful, this is great, but I said, wouldn't it be super cool if this were a vintage sewing machine that you were giving away? And there was only a brief pause, and the person that is running their page for Sewing Parts Online immediately jumped in and basically said, oh my gosh, I would love to get my hands on a vintage featherweight custom painted that I could give away through the Facebook channel, through Sewing Parts Online, blah, blah, blah. And I typed back, I said, reach out to me. I've got one for you. So we're looking at partnering eventually with Sewing Parts Online. The workshop will donate a custom painted featherweight, and then we will allow our friends at Sewing Parts Online. Many of us have used them for getting different parts. We will allow them to give away an original Cow Country custom painted featherweight. And I don't know when it's going to be. It might be off in the distant future somewhere. It might be in the near future. We'll have to wait and see. But it's fun making new friends, isn't it? It's fun making new friends with folks that traditionally, there I am. It's fun making friends with people that traditionally are now marketing and I'll just say it, pushing the contemporary plastic-based machines, many of which come from companies that are household names in our VSM circles, household names like Husqvarna, Elna, Bernina. I mean, the list goes on. Singer. There's all kinds of contemporary makers out there, obviously not in the country of origin any longer, but they are presenting their contemporary machines, and they're also trying to bridge that gap. They're trying to bridge that gap between the past, the present, and the future. And they're trying to be more welcoming, and they're trying to be open to embracing vintage sewing machines as well. For a while, there was a little bit of antagonism on both sides for VSM people towards the contemporary machines and contemporary towards the VSM. But I think myself and others that have tried to say every machine deserves to have greatness. Every machine deserves greatness is something I say all the time on this channel. And I presented a number of more contemporary machines as well, because I get those referrals from our friends at Joann's, previously known as Joann Fabrics. They send me a lot of customers with contemporary quilting type machines, long arm quilting machines. And I've shown you some of those on this channel because I want you to appreciate the fact that these original companies that we embrace as vintage makers are still trying to keep themselves in the game, and in some ways are trying to bridge that gap and say we're still trying to maintain as best as we can the standards of what Elna did, or Bernina, or Husqvarna, or any of the other makers that you might be able to name that are still out there in one form or another, one flavor or another, and trying to make those machines. And even our friends at Bernina USA right now are doing a welcome, an open door, and saying, send us pictures of your VSM machines so we can share them on our Facebook page. And a number of people have done that already. So we're trying to get along, aren't we? We're trying to say to the contemporary makers, maintain your standards. Stop the game of making disposable sewing machines. We don't want disposable sewing machines. We want sewing machines, especially if you're going to brand them with one of our cherished vintage makers like Husqvarna or Elna or any of the other makers, Bernina. Put some quality into them. Build them to last longer than you've been doing so that people will be able to go out there and embrace both worlds. They'll be able to have a collection of vintage sewing machines and also have some select, more contemporary machines that will deliver certain things for their projects that maybe the vintage ones can't do in the same way. So, hope all that makes sense. We're trying to get along, aren't we? We're trying to be friends. And I'm making my little effort as well through Facebook and in reaching out to some of these folks like Bernina USA and Sewing Parts Online and other folks like that that are doing a lot of work with contemporary machines to say, let's do this together. Let's focus on quality. Let's focus on deliverables of what these machines can do, and let's make a difference together. So there you go. All right. So 1958 was a great year for the Swedish beauties. They came out with a number of different flavors. They came out with everything from 21 A's and E's to type 21s like this one. And they came out with a variety of other Swedish beauty style machines. And if you didn't know it and you've got a Swedish beauty, you can go inside of the faceplate right here. And right on this edge of the faceplate area is going to be your serial number. Now, the folks in Sweden did not maintain meticulous records. They just didn't. It wasn't their thing. They were creating beautiful sewing machines, and record keeping was not their passion. But through my friend Hans, and through a contact of his out of Sweden, I was able to get a summary, a fairly comprehensive summary of dating via serial numbers for the Swedish beauties, in specific the green machines, which are really hard to date sometimes. Everyone will look at green machines like this, the Swedish beauties, and they'll say, oh, yeah, it's from the 1950s. Well, that's not real specific, is it? So if any of you out there have a Swedish beauty similar to this, maybe it's a 19E or a 19 special or a 21A or a 21E or a type 21, any of those models and more, and you have a letter prefix as far as your serial number, I can help you, or one of my leadership team members can help you date that machine as far as the year it was made. That's about as specific as we can get with the Swedish beauties. It's not like the serial numbers with Singer where we can look it up and we can know the month, the day, and the year. With the Swedish beauties, we can only narrow it down to the year of production. And that's what I did with this one. This one starts with a prefix, I believe. Let me see here. This one starts with a prefix of L. And so if you happen to have a Swedish beauty with a prefix of L, you can know straight away that it's from the year 1958. It's only by the letter prefix that we can determine the year of manufacturing for the Swedish beauties. And you'll notice that this Swedish beauty, unlike some of the other ones that I've shown you, This one has an adjuster here for presser foot pressure, but it does not have the benefit of that quick release that comes with some of the other Swedish beauty models. With this one, you're only able to adjust presser foot pressure up or down. There is no quick release. And again, the benefit of the quick release on some of the models, like the ones that I've shown you recently, is that it allows you to release all the presser foot pressure on the machine, and then you can hyperextend that presser foot attachment up so you can fit super thick material underneath that presser foot. With this one, that is not something that you can do. And it does not have a hyperextension on the presser foot lever either. So what you see is what you get, but it's still quite a bit of clearance underneath this foot. I would say it's probably close to, let's see if I can measure it. I'm kind of eyeballing it, so it's not horribly scientific. So eyeballing it, you're looking at probably about 4 millimeters of clearance underneath the presser foot. And we're going to be testing that clearance quite a bit during this live stream today. I'm going to be pushing this machine harder than I pushed some of the other Swedish beauties recently. And that's because of the feedback that I got. I got notes from around the world from people, and they always start out very friendly and very nice. You know, love your channel, love your passion, love your presentation of the machines, love the way you make the machines teachable, a teachable moment, and your enthusiasm inspires us to fall in love with the machines. And they say all kinds of nice, sincere, kind things. But a couple of them added on to the end of that as a little footnote, but push the machines harder like you used to do. And so I'm going to try to do that in this live stream. I'm going to try to push this Swedish beauty from 1958 a little bit harder than I've been pushing some of the other ones. And again, I'm going to be focusing on a wide field of material possibilities. But if anyone is really, really wanting to see some of the other decorative output from this machine beyond the A cam, or I should say beyond the A revised cam that's in the back right now, then let me know that, and I will break away from the camera for a little bit. Maybe I'll put on some polka Swedish music, and I'll go grab some other cams, and I can show the output of some of the cams that you might not see as often, like cam D and cam E are really fun to show. So, yeah. So I always appreciate the feedback. If I get a little bit lax and I'm not pushing these machines as hard as I can, let me know that, and I'll try to do that. Or like Robin did the other live stream, and she said, "I'd really like to see a super light sew off." And that's when I pulled out the satin. And then today as well, I pulled out some of this this velvet ribbon that you would see around Christmas time, and we'll try stitching on some of that as well. So your feedback is very valuable, and it's always welcome. I always love to get it. Okay, so let me do this. Let me give you a chance to kind of look at this machine. I'll go over and look at the live chat, say some good mornings, see if there's any initial thing I need to respond to, and then we'll start jumping into this straight away. Okay, so I'm going to turn this just a little bit, give you a better shot of Sandra's 1958 Type 21 Viking machine. There it is. And also, you might notice this right away. I've got the original manual that covers all of the Class 21 machines. So those are any of the machines that are after 1948. After 1948, they transitioned from the Class 20 machines to the Class 21 machines, and just a wealth of machines came out of that movement. But a lot of the things are going to be transferable between any of the green machines. And I'm just showing this to you because I do offer these as a reprint. It looks identical to this, but it's got professional binding on the side that I get done at Bay Impressions in Oconto here. And these are available for sale. So if you need a manual for your Class 21 Viking Husqvarna machine, just reach out after the live stream, and I'll try to connect with you and get one of these heading towards you, because they really do provide a lot of great insights on the machines. A lot of great insights, troubleshooting, use of the machine, and just a variety of other things as well. Just a variety of other things as well. They even have a little, it's not really usable, but they even have a stitch card. Where did I see it? I just saw it a second ago. There it is. They even have a stitch card in here as well, that it just references the stitches. It doesn't give you the individual settings for them like the actual stitch card. So, but it's a great resource. And I always like to encourage folks, if you own a machine, make sure you try to get a hold of a manual for that machine, because it's going to give you insights on the use and the maintenance of that machine that you might not otherwise have. Okay, blah, 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 blah. All right. All right, I'm going to scroll up and say some good mornings now. Well, obviously, good morning to Susie from Minnesota. And Susie is so cute. She always, as part of my leadership team, is always, sitting on the edge of her seat, excited and ready to go when it comes to the live streams that I typically do on Tuesday mornings and on Saturday mornings. And I haven't even clicked the final button yet to go live. And she is already in the live chat at that point, extending a good morning. So I just love her enthusiasm. I love her energy. And the same thing can be said for others as well that are part of the leadership team. But Susie is usually the first one out of the gate. And it's such a blessing to have her as part of our Cow Country family and as part of my inner circle on the leadership team as well. And another go-getter is my dear friend Christine from Canada. And Christine is probably sitting on the edge of her seat for a variety of reasons right now. One is she knows that I mailed her a package of goodies to Canada. I try to do that with each of my leadership team members out of appreciation for the time and energy and talent that they devote to live streams, and some of them working behind the scenes with Facebook as well, on behalf of Cow Country. So I mailed her a goodie box. Some of the things she knows about, some of the things that I stuck in there, she doesn't have a clue. So that'll be almost like Christmas morning for her when that box arrives, if it hasn't already, out there in, I think she's in Ontario, Canada, and she can correct me if I got it wrong. But good morning to Christine as well. And thank you for your passion and your talent and your energy as well, both here on YouTube and also on Facebook as well, where you work with Bill and I trying to help folks out. And guten Tag, almost guten Abend, to our dear friend Tadal from Deutschland, from Germany. Wie geht's? And hope you're having a schönes Wochenende. Hope you're having a beautiful weekend. What else? Another one of my blessings, Emma, who is joining us today from work. Emma, as many of you know by now, works in a hospital in the great state of Florida and works as a pharmacist. And when she has little windows, little pockets of opportunity, she will jump into the live stream on Saturdays and contribute, help answer questions, do all kinds of things, make people feel welcome, even though she's at work. And I think that devotion to duty really is indicative of a lot of the folks that I have the privilege of working with behind the scenes on the leadership team. And certainly many of you as well have that sense of duty, have that sense of devotion to what we do within Cow Country and certainly within the VSM space. So good morning to Emma as well from the great state of Florida. Good morning to Jenny as well. Good morning to Jenny. And I don't know if Jenny got those double-eyed needles yet. If you didn't, they should arrive soon. And you'll have to let us know how those work out. Again, I didn't have much success with them, but it's all about setup when you're working with a specialized needle. And I don't think I had the setup just quite right. So I'll eventually circle back to those double eye needles by Schmetz. And also, I'm going to be offering more of them as a giveaway today if folks are willing to text in or call in and tell us why you love VSM, why you love Cow Country. If you're wanting to get a complimentary pack of those double eye Schmetz needles, all you have to do is text or call me during the live stream. I'll share your message with our audience, and then you can be checking your mailbox in anticipation of getting a pack of these double eye needles by Schmetz. And I think I have 3 of these that I could potentially give away today. 3 of them. And they're size 80-12. So they're going to be really good for, quilting, probably some freehand embroidery, free motion quilting. And I hope you have utter success with them so you can share your secrets with us on what your setup was and what you did to get the outcome. And by all means, share some pictures as well, please. That would be great. Also, I have another pair of these to give away as well. I did not, leading up today's live stream, I did not have anyone else that went to Google and did a review on Cow Country. I did not have anyone that went back to their Google review and revised it and reposted it. So I don't have any plan as far as giving another set of these away during the live stream today. But before we do our next live stream, potentially on Tuesday, jump on Google and maybe one of the leaders can post the link. The link is also in the description for this live stream on how you can do a Google review on Cow Country, especially if you're a past customer. I would love to get your review and your feedback on the experience of working with me. I really try to do it right. I try to make it personal. I try to get to know you. I try to get to know all the particulars of your project wants and needs. And then I try to deliver a machine to you that just wows you. So if you're a former customer, I really would love to get your feedback through a Google review. And a lot more people are using Google to decide if they want to do business with different companies. And that's how a lot of people find me. So it also helps the Cow Country business as well. So I can do more things like this and giving things away because I've got a bigger margin for the mission. And that comes by way of business from customers that send their machines in or drop their machines off or otherwise. So consider doing that if you would. Write a great Google review for Cow Country. I hope we deserve 5 stars. And then others can look at those Google reviews and take a step forward towards them and certainly working with Cow Country as well. That would be fabulous. What I will give away, or what I can potentially give away during this live stream as well with these double line needles, is I can give away some of these fun mugs. I've got one that says, "This mug belongs to a sewing addict. Warning, conversation liable to include sewing." So this is a fun mug that I'm willing to give away during this live stream today. And I'm going to let the leadership team that's present, I'm going to let Christine and Susie and Emma, and if there's any of the other leaders present, I'm going to let them decide what you all have to do in order to win either this mug or this mug. This is a fun one too. Good things come to those who sow. Good things come to those that sow. Those who sow, excuse me. And they're obviously printed on both sides, just like this one is. So the leadership team will decide, Christine, Susie, Emma, if there's any other leaders present, they'll decide what you all have to do to potentially win one of these mugs. I've only got 2 of these, so 2 potential winners, and then along with the double line needles as well. And hopefully by the next time I get some more reviews so we can give away another set of those Gutenheim professional tailoring scissors. Those are really, really nice scissors. All right. I'm going to move those out of the way. I don't know what it is today. Maybe it's the weather change or something, but I keep grabbing tissues because I've got a drippy nose. Does anyone else get a drippy nose in the springtime? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But it's been a combination of rainy and then warm, and the trees and the plants and all the foliage out there is starting to produce all of their pollen. So, oh man, I've been battling it. So if I sound a little bit like I have a cold, I don't, but I've got a drippy nose today. So I might have to step away a couple of times and grab a tissue during this live stream. Okay, let me get back to my good mornings. I think the last person I said good morning to was Jenny, who won a set of those, or a package of those double eye Schmetz needles at one of the recent live streams. Good morning to Candido. Good morning to Candido from New York. And good morning to Sheila Kilgore as well. Good morning to Sheila Kilgore. Let's see. Oh, okay. I'm reading further down. Jenny did get the double eye needles. So that's great news. And I'm so busy. She may have sent me a message telling me that, and I just totally forgot it. But I'm glad Jenny has those. And if she has success, hopefully she will text me some pictures of what she did with the double eye needles, and then I can post them on Facebook, and maybe she'll share her secrets if she has a successful outcome, so the rest of us know how we can employ those new Schmetz double eye needles. Because I certainly don't want Schmetz to stop manufacturing them. I think it's an interesting concept and an interesting alternative to the twin needle type design that we typically use, the ones that have been out for a long time. Oh, good morning to our friend Kevin Orr. And Kevin Orr, you might remember, was the recipient of one of Susie's hats. And I mailed one of Susie's hats out to Kevin Orr some time ago. And Kevin also, and we left it kind of in the hush hush column, but Kevin actually called me during the live stream. He was very gracious and very kind in calling me during the live stream, and that's what he did to win that hat. And I'm not sure what the leaders are going to decide to do as far as what folks need to do to try to win those mugs. Maybe the leaders will say, you got to call Scott during the live stream if you want one of those mugs. That's up to them. I'm going to leave that up to them. But Kevin shared briefly during our chat, during that live stream, that he works in the government, and he works in a position that's very vital to, he didn't say it, but I inferred that Kevin works in a sensitive position in the government that is very, very specific to ensuring our national security. And we'll just leave it at that, kind of like our friends that work with the FBI. Oh gosh, I'm blanking on their names. What are their names? Sanborn. Jill and Mike Sanborn that work with the FBI, and also our friends of Cow Country and our customers of Cow Country as well. So we have a lot of folks that we're never going to know their names. We're very privileged to know Kevin Orr's name. But a lot of the other folks that work behind the scenes to ensure the national security and to safeguard us against folks that would want to harm the United States, God bless them and Godspeed to them in their mission, because we don't even know the number of potential terrorist acts and other horrible things that people want to do to the United States that they end up being able to prevent because of their efforts and because of their talents and because of their initiative. So I don't want to put Kevin Orr on the spot. I don't want to single Kevin Orr out, but he's one of many that work behind the scenes to ensure the safety of our great country. And I'm so thankful for folks like that, aren't you? Yeah. Okay. Enough of that. All right. I also love the emoji that Kevin picked out as well. That cool fuchsia hand thing waving. That's really cool. All right, what else do we have? And it looks like Kevin has a 6000 series. A lot of different flavors in the 6000 series Husqvarna machines. A lot of flavors. And good morning to Bill, aka Mesa Group, as well, from the great state of Minnesota. And Bill and his daughter are also recipients of some of Susie's super cool custom cow country hats. And Bill was gracious enough to share a picture of his beautiful daughter that I was able to post on Facebook. And you can scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll if you want to see a picture of Bill's daughter. And I didn't realize it, but when we mailed Susie's hat out from the workshop, it coincided beautifully with Bill's daughter's birthday. So it ended up becoming a birthday hat for Bill's daughter. And who knows, maybe if they go for walks with their puppy, Nora, I believe it's Nora, if they go for walks with their puppy, maybe they both wear cow country hats out there in the great state of Minnesota. So yeah, thanks to everybody that has not only received those hats, but also kind of shares those hats with the public so that they can learn about what we're doing here. All right, what else do we have? Scrolling. Still scrolling. You guys are really chatty this morning. It's great. I love it. So I'm scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. I'm not even down to the bottom yet to see if there's anybody else that I need to offer a good morning to and greet them. And you guys are just chatty. So keep it up. Get to know each other. I love it. Good morning as well to Aaron Allen. Aaron Allen is from the East Coast. And if I get it right, gosh, I hope I get it right. She's from the beautiful state of Vermont. Is that right, Aaron? Did I get it right this time? I think Aaron Allen, and Aaron actually had two machines that I had a privilege of, or maybe two or three machines that I had the privilege of preparing for her and shipping out to her out in the great state of Vermont, I believe. I think I previously put her in Connecticut, but she's in Vermont, I'm pretty sure. All right, who else? I'm still scrolling. Oh my gosh, you guys are so pumped up. I love it. So pumped up. Almost there. And one last good morning to LJ. LJ is the last entry as far as the live chat. I think I've seen LJ before, but I'm not positive. I know the leadership team knows. The leadership team recognizes everybody because they are deeply immersed in the live chat while I'm over here doing other things. But welcome to LJ as well. And if it's your first time, it's great to have you here. It's always great to have new folks, isn't it? And Christine from Canada already did a brilliant job of answering, but I have worked on hundreds. I've worked on hundreds of featherweights, the 221s, the 22-1s, and also I've worked on a number of 222Ks as well, the free arm convertible featherweight that was made in Kilbowie, Scotland for 8 years, and they only made about 100,000 of them during that 8 years. So every flavor of featherweight, including the celery color ones that came out of Canada as well. I've worked on those also. So yeah, I love featherweights, and I love the story behind featherweights and first being introduced at the Century of Progress theme Chicago World's Fair back in 1933, 1934. They've got such a proud history and such an exciting history as well. So I love featherweights very, very much. And yeah, if I can help in any way, and I miss it, let the leaders know. They'll let me know what you need, and we can follow up after the live stream. Okay, so I think I've greeted everybody at this point. I love the chat. I love the engagement that all of you are having with each other. And I have to credit the leaders as well, because they really are that welcoming person, that welcoming presence, especially to new folks, in making them feel like they're a part of the family right away. And many of you others will do the same welcoming as well. And I'm grateful for everyone that kind of lays out the welcome mat and just makes folks feel like they belong, makes them feel like they can relax here and they can step out of the shadows and they can get involved without the fear of being criticized or judged or anything like that, like you sometimes get in some of the other groups that are out there. You know, they've got the savant that's presenting and only they have the right answers. That's a bunch of, that's a bunch of, yeah, that's a bunch of, that's what that is. We all have the right answers because we all have different experiences. We all have different tools in our toolbox. So let me just encourage you, I'm sure as the leaders will do as well, uh, step out there confidently and share your knowledge with us. It's only going to make us better, right? And then we can take that information out to the world and share it with others. Okay. All right. I think I've welcomed everybody. I hope I haven't missed anyone. So at this point, you can't see him do it because he does it so fast. He does it so fast you can't even see it. It's like a blur. So really focus on Herr Obermeister. He's going to give a salute German style because he's from Germany. He's going to give a salute German style to the leadership team and say, "You are in charge." Scott's going to focus on this 1958 Swedish Beauty now, and you're in charge of the live stream, live chat. So take it over. I think I can say ladies because I don't think Bill is here. Take it over, ladies. You're in charge. Take care of the family. And if we get any riffraff that comes in, like those porno people that sometimes pop up, go after them and throw them into the penalty box. Okay. All right. So, Herr Obermeister, thanks for that salute. Let's get busy. Let's get busy and check out this Swedish beauty. All right. All right. Here we go. And I wanted to say, I don't remember what her name was in the last live stream. I don't remember what her name is. I bet you the leaders probably do. But I had shown my can of Diet Coke. I had shown my can of Diet Coke, and some very thoughtful person that was in the live stream cautioned me about drinking diet drinks because it has asper something or whatever. It's got something in it that can cause issues with your brain, and I appreciated that caution, that thoughtful gesture. I got a little bit of a tickle too because they referred to me as sweetie. So I assume whenever someone uses the phrase sweetie, they're probably uh, as old as I am or older, because that was something that typically was said back in the day. But yeah, diet drinks. I've been drinking them all my life, and I haven't lost my mind yet. Although if a good song comes on, if a really good song comes on in the workshop, someone watching me dance by myself would probably think that I did lose my mind. Absolutely. All right, so let's jump into this. I'm going to rotate this Swedish beauty back again. Before I do that, we'll kind of look at the front of this machine and I'll just walk you around. Many of you already own a Swedish beauty, so this will be baseline rudimentary for you. But just kind of bear with me because others that might be new or might be considering getting one of these machines from Sweden, they may not be as familiar with the lay of the land as you are. So as we're looking at this Swedish beauty, um, I'll kind of start on the right side and then I'll kind of point out some other things about the machine as well. But I can tell you some of the really cool things about the Swedish beauty machines is features that you're not going to readily see on the face of the machine. And that is the jam-free raceway over here, because the shuttle that holds the bobbin case is allowed to move back and forth from left to right and up and down. which means you can run a heavier thread in this machine and it's not going to jam the raceway. And that's really what the Swedes called it. They called it the jam-free raceway. They were that confident. So if you're running upholstery thread or a heavier type thread in it, you're generally going to have some good success as long as you're running it down here. Again, whenever you're running heavier thread, the best rule to follow is put the heavier thread down in the bobbin and put a matching thread that's going to look identical to it, but it's not going to be as heavy. Put that thread up top. And the reason you do that is the thread down in the raceway only has to travel a very short distance in the sewing process. It's only got to travel about 12 to 15 millimeters from here to here. And then that magical stitch process is completed. When you're funneling thread from on top of the machine, it's got to travel a much greater distance. You can kind of see in this Swedish beauty, it has to travel from here to over here to here, around the tension discs, past the take-up check spring, past the thread guide, the take-up arm, another thread guide, and then finally down to the needle. So because of that travel distance, there's a lot more things that can go wrong if you try to run a heavier thread on top versus putting that heavier thread down in the bobbin case. And if it's a matter of trying to get a better looking top stitch, remember you can always flip that material and you can stitch it so that that top stitch is going to appear as if it's coming from the top when it's actually coming from the bobbin case. And I demonstrated that in kind of an awkward way. Remember, I pulled out those canvases, those framed canvases that you can get at the Dollar Tree. And I said, wouldn't this be a fun project with a young person? It could be your child, it could be a grandchild, a great-grandchild, whatever. Those framed canvases you can buy at the Dollar Tree, they have them in real small sizes, and you can put them underneath the presser foot with the top of the canvas facing down, and then just put a really fun multicolored type thread in the bobbin case. And then when you run that stitch off with that young person, that really colorful, fun thread is going to pop up on the front of that canvas. And then it's already framed, so you can put it up in your sewing area, maybe even have that grandchild, if they're at a phase where they can write their name, have them write their name on it. You can date it and then put it right up in grandma's or mom's or grandpa's or uncle's or aunt's sewing room, whatever, as a trophy display of that young person trying sewing for the first time. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, let me grab one real quick. I'll show you what they look like. These are put out by Crafters Square. And they're readily available at the Dollar Tree, which is now the $1.25 tree. But when you put them in, you kind of, on some machines, if they don't have a quick release, it allows you to push that presser foot way up. You may have to remove the presser foot attachment temporarily, get this into position with the canvas facing down, and then this is your field of creation right here for that young person where they can do some stitching. I did kind of a rough play off of it here. Down in the bobbin case, I had a multicolored embroidery thread, and I just did some fun stitching on one of the live streams with it underneath the presser foot. And I think I was using a standard presser foot. The ideal thing would be to have a free motion quilting type attachment on there, similar to, let me grab one, similar to this. I've got a whole bag of these for different types of machines. And that's the thing, when you get one of these free motion type attachments, make sure that it's going to fit that presser foot bar correctly. You want it to be really, really snug to that presser foot bar. Make sure you hand turn the machine to see if you're getting proper clearance on every part of the attachment. But these are so much fun to use, aren't they? I've only demonstrated a couple times on this channel, and they're always fun. And this would be ideal for stitching something like this, where that young person could really have a chance to, play around and just kind of zip all over the place on here and create something much more spectacular than I did. But I just love these because it gives a way of recognition for that young person that has tried sewing maybe for the first time. And every time they come into that sewist space, into that sewing room of whoever sewing room that is, maybe it's grandpa's sewing room, or an uncle or an aunt or a cousin or a grandma or a grandpa or a mom or a dad, or maybe a next door neighbor. Every time they walk into that sewing space, they're going to see this proudly displayed on the wall, and it's going to inspire and encourage them, hopefully, to jump into it and to try it again, and to eventually become a lifelong sewer. That's how a lot of people start, isn't it? It's a little bit of encouragement and it's a little bit of opportunity. So I would strongly encourage you to check these out at the local Dollar Trees or crafting stores or whatever you have in your area, and give it a go. And if you get some really cool things that a young person has done, would you send it to me? And then I can post it on Facebook to try to encourage other folks that have young people in their circles of life to try to do the same thing. It's the process of spreading it out virally, in a sense, and getting others in other circles of the world to try to reach out to young people. All of us are going to eventually not be walking the earth anymore, and we've got to recruit young people to take over for us and to continue the proud VSM tradition, right? And the sewing traditions and the quilting traditions and everything else. So anyway, give this a thought and a consideration, and then would you share pictures with us so that others can be equally inspired to try to do the same thing. All right, move that out of the way. So I was over in this area real quick, and since we're over in this area, I'll cover a couple of other things. I better slow myself down. I'll cover a couple of other quick things that might be beneficial, and I've done this in other live streams as well, but maybe you missed those live streams, so it'll be reinforcement. So I'm going to take this bobbin case out of this jam-free raceway, and I'll kind of get closer to it, and I'll show you what I mean by the Swedish design of jam-free. So where most shuttles and hook systems will be in a fixed position where they're going to be rotating, but they're not going to be able to have horizontal or vertical mobility. On the Swedish design, this one, see how it wiggles? And it wiggles this way as well. So this actually is a floating shuttle hook system that allows the thread to move through this creation space much easier and without getting stuck. If this were in a fixed position, that thread would have a restrictive surface to move through, and it's more likely to get jammed. And that's why the Swedes made this a floating shuttle hook system that can float pretty much any direction, almost like the movie Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Remember that special elevator that Willy Wonka has? And when they first step into it, the grandfather and Charlie, they called it an elevator. And Willy Wonka right away corrects him and says, no, it's not an elevator. It's a Wonkavator, because it can go sideways and straight ways and sideways and right ways and left ways and every direction. That's kind of the way the Swedes made this shuttle hook system, is it has mobility to move around while the sewing process is occurring in all different types of directions. And it allows that thread to pass through there more freely without getting jammed. And this is a really important service area if you have a Swedish beauty. Periodically, you're going to want to get courageous and take out these 3 screws, because behind this shuttle hook system, all kinds of thread and junk builds up in there. And just blowing it out or something like that is just going to impact and compact that junk that's stuck in there even more. You've got to take this shuttle hook out by removing this retainer plate and get that nice and tidy and cleaned up in there. And if you said how often, I would say it depends on what you're sewing. If you're sewing a bunch of fleece or other stuff that leaves a lot of deposits behind, a lot of thread and stuff, and a lot of material remnants, then you're going to want to clean that more frequently. But I would say at a minimum about every 8 to 10 hours of sewing, you'll want to take out these three little screws, take that retainer plate out, remove that hook shuttle, and do a cleaning up in that space in there. And you will not throw off the timing of the machine, as I've seen some people try to write about on Facebook, by removing this plate and taking out the shuttle, because the mounting plate on the other side of it that you can't see, there's only one way that you can put this shuttle hook system back into place. Only one way. And so, unless you take off the mounting plate that's below this, there's no way to throw the hook timing off by doing that regular maintenance and servicing on the raceway area. So, that's again the importance of our classroom. We've got to give accurate information. And the accurate information is, you can remove this shuttle hook, you can remove this retainer plate, clean it all up, put that shuttle hook back into place properly. It'll only go in one way. You'll see there's a little adjoining groove that fits in there. Put those three screws back into place. You can't over tighten these. They're a special type of screw. You can tighten them as snug as you can go. Don't break them off or something like that, but put them in nice and snug, and it's going to still allow that hook and shuttle to have mobility. It's not going to cinch it down. Okay, so do that, and then swab this periodically with a Q-tip swab, a little bit of machine oil, just like this, a little bit of sewing machine oil. You'll just get a basic Q-tip swab after a big project or something like that. And then you just take that Q-tip swab and just gently swab the inside of that area where that stitch is going to be created. Also on this little shaft as well that the bobbin case mounts on, make sure you swab over that also to create a nice slick surface for that bobbin to spin up on this. Because this little shaft right here that you can see, that shaft right there is what your bobbin slides over. And so you want to keep that nice and clean and nice and slick, along with the hook shuttle as well. Get that all tidied up. And I've cleaned it so many times, there's not much dirt that I can get off of it right now. But after a project, you will be shocked how filthy this area gets. And this is your brain center. I say it all the time. This is your brain center for the sewing machine and your creative secret space. So you have to keep that incredibly tidy and keep it in great shape, right? Keep it in great shape. I think I just got a text. I'll look at that in just a second. I just want to show one other thing real quick when it comes to setting this up for success. So I'm going to take the bobbin out, and now I've got the bobbin. I've got the bobbin case as well. And the bobbin case also, like the raceway, needs tidying up after any major project. All you do is remove it. You take a Q-tip swab with some sewing machine oil on it. If you acquire a brand, a VSM that's brand new to you, if you acquire a vintage sewing machine that's brand new to you, maybe you pick it up at a thrift shop, or you get it off of eBay, or you buy it from a neighbor or whatever. We have no idea how that neighbor, that other person, has maintained that machine. And so in that instance, when you look at your bobbin case, you might look inside and go, oh my gosh, I think that there might be woodland creatures living in there, because it's just that filthy. It's got all kinds of buildup on the inside of it. In an instance like that, where the bobbin case is really, really bad off, again, remember, this is so essential to the sewing process in dispensing that thread from the bobbin. Then instead of starting with sewing machine oil, grab some Q-tip swabs with some rubbing alcohol. Isopropyl alcohol, I think is what it's called scientifically, or whatever. But you can pick up a bottle of rubbing alcohol nearly anywhere, and you'll put a little bit of rubbing alcohol on both ends of the swab, and then clean the inside of that bobbin case several times. Clean it clean the same shaft here that shaft off of the machine is going to slide into. Clean that space inside of here, right inside of there, that shaft off of the machine is going to slide into, because there's a lot of dirt and junk that builds up in there as well. And you could push it all the way to a point. See, you can see it coming out the other end. And if somehow the swab comes loose, don't get concerned. Just take this end and push it from this side, and you'll be able to push it back out straight away. See how it's come all the way through. We'll pull it back through, kind of jiggle wiggle. Hopefully it stays on. Oh, good. See, it came off. Perfect. So if it comes off, don't fret. Just go from this end and just push it back through. This. There it is. Look at how filthy that is. And I've cleaned this bobbin case probably, I can't even count how many times. But again, the sewing thread that we use and just the machine pulling in the environmental filth that's in the air, the dust and everything else, how quickly it gets dirty. How quickly it gets dirty. So yeah, do a tidying up of this, I would say frequently, especially if you're working with materials that are going to leave more deposits behind. And on this particular machine, when we're setting it up for sewing, we want to make sure that as we're setting it up, I tend to hold the bobbin case in my left hand, although a lot of manuals show you holding it in the right hand. So however the manual demonstrates it, follow that as a guideline. But when you're holding the bobbin case, in my instance, you're going to have the thread coming underneath the bottom. See how the thread is coming underneath the bottom? And then you're going to slide it into place near that little slat opening. There's a little slat opening right adjacent to the adjusting screw right here. I'll point at it with my Q-tip. There's that little slat right there. And there's our little adjusting screw. If you didn't know it on these bobbin cases, and it's not true of every bobbin case, on some bobbin cases, there's only going to be a single screw because there's going to be a little metal flap that tucks in and kind of holds that tension band in place. The tension band is what you're going to draw that thread underneath so that it maintains tension. And if I were to ask the audience right now, I'm pretty sure the leadership team and our regular people know this, but some others might not know it. The reason it's so essential that we thread a bobbin case appropriately is because if we don't get that thread into the proper position where it's underneath this tension band right here, it's not going to maintain proper tension, and it's not going to define what stitch. What does the bobbin case help to define? Does it define the lock stitch, which it's obviously closest to, down in the raceway? This is in the raceway, and the lock stitch is on the bottom of the material. So does this define the lock stitch, or does it define the top stitch, the bobbin case? And while you're typing that into the live chat, I'm going to thread this up. So again, I've got the bobbin in my right hand. The thread is coming underneath the bottom. I'm going to slide it into place. I'm going to get that thread into that little slat. Then I'm going to draw that thread. And when you're drawing that thread into position, hold the bottom of the bobbin with your finger a little bit so that it can't continue to turn. And then you're eventually going to draw it all the way underneath that tension band. And right here with the Husqvarna one, it's right in a little notch in the middle there. You can kind of see that in the shot. Right in that little notch. And now that thread is actually underneath this tension band, and it's going to be able to maintain proper tension. And I'm not even looking at the live chat, but knowing how smart all of you are, you've already typed in the live chat. I have no doubt that the bobbin case is going to define the top stitch. A lot of people get that wrong. Even experienced seamstresses that have called me and are battling tension issues, they assume proximity. Proximity, it only makes sense. Proximity is the bobbin case is closest to the bottom of the material. Doesn't it regulate what happens with that lock stitch? It doesn't. It regulates what happens with that top stitch. So this bobbin case, now that we have it threaded and set up properly, is going to be pulling down in the sewing process. It's pulling down against that upper tension right here. That upper tension is going to be pulling up like this. pulling up hard to find that stitch process. This will be pulling up, this will be pulling down. They're in a tug of war, back and forth, like this. This one is saying, I'm stronger than you. No, you're not. I'm stronger than you. I might be small, but I am mighty. And the bobbin case is going to be pulling down. This is going to be pulling up. And so we have to make them friends, depending on the materials that we're sewing with, depending on our machine setup. We make them friends and we say, get along. Come on, guys, get along. Don't fight. This isn't a playground. We're not children. Sometimes we're children. We really are. But at any rate, we're not children. We're going to get along. And you're going to only pull up so hard. And you, yeah, I'm talking to you. You are only going to pull down so hard. You guys are going to pull together. You're going to pull together. You're going to be friends. We're going to get this done. Okay? So that's how you end up balancing tension. And in most instances, you can adjust tension just using the upper tension control. This right here. If you stitch off a line of stitching, I did this off camera. You guys are going to think I'm absolutely crazy. I had to do it. I did 3 layers of saddle grade leather on this 1958 Type 21. 3 layers of saddle grade leather, laying down a zigzag and a straight stitch. I couldn't help myself. I was unsupervised. Dr. Singer had gone to lunch, and the Swedish princess, she was busy chatting with the little old lady over by the radio. They were all distracted and busy. So I decided to do 3 layers of saddle grade leather. The crazy thing is I'm going to try to do that on this live stream today also, in front of all of you, so that all of those naysayers, all of those skeptics, all of those haters that want to continue to try to say you can only do sewing like this on commercial or light industrial or industrial type machines can watch this live stream and they can bite their nails and go, how the heck does he do it? How does he sew that much leather on what is by definition a household sewing machine? You guys know the answer to that already. It's workshop magic. But at any rate, my point back to the tension factor, if we didn't have a beautiful top stitch like this, like you're looking at right there, if we didn't have a beautiful top stitch and if it was looking undefined or loosey-goosey, what would we do? What would we do to try to give greater definition to that top stitch in relation to this upper tension right here? What would we do to that upper tension to try to give greater emphasis to that top stitch if it weren't this absolutely gorgeous? Page 34 plus. And this again is through 3 layers of saddle grade leather. Oh, this is so much fun. And the lock stitch, this is a lock stitch over here. It looks just as good. Oh, I love it. Isn't it fun? Oh, I love it. Okay, so all of you, again, being super duper smart, I showed you this 3 layers of saddle grade leather. And I said, what if we have a loosey-goosey top stitch? I have no doubt at all that what you said was turn this counterclockwise. Because if our top stitch is loosey-goosey, this upper tension unit over here is being a bully. This upper tension unit is being a bully, and it's trying to pull up too hard, which is defeating the effort of the bobbin case to be pulling down to give us a nicely defined top stitch. If the opposite is true, and we turn this over, and we have a loosey-goosey lock stitch going through 3 layers of saddle grade leather, which wouldn't be a shocker, you know what I mean? It wouldn't be shocking, considering I sewed this with a universal needle, not with a leather needle. But if we did have a loosey-goosey lock stitch, what would I do then to this upper tension to try to give us better definition on a lock stitch, which is on the bottom of the material as it's going through? What would I do to this if we have an issue with the lock stitch? I'll give you a few seconds to think about that. So this again is set up properly now. We also did a little bit of cleaning up on it as well because I'd done quite a bit of off-camera sewing, including these 3 layers of saddle gray leather also. But if we want to also understand the benefits of trying to make adjustments from here first, but in some cases it's just so extreme because of our material that we're using or because of the type of thread that we're using, we can try to use this as the primary adjusting source, but sometimes we can't. And we have to go down to the bobbin case. And that's when we grab our tiny screwdriver. We grab a tiny screwdriver like, and we look at this bobbin case and we say for everyone to hear, I will not be afraid of you. I will not be intimidated by you, because I can't tell you there's been hundreds of people, if not thousands of people over the years that I've been doing this that have said, I'll do almost anything on a sewing machine, but I will not try adjusting the bobbin case. I'm not going to do it. I will not do it. Well, let me encourage you to overcome that fear. Let me encourage you to overcome that fear. You can, if you try making adjustments here, and you have to go to the extreme here where you either have this almost turned all the way in, or you turn this almost all the way out, and then you start to lose definition on the lock stitch, and you're like, I can't win this battle without going down to the bobbin case. It's okay, because sometimes this will not get the job done. So in that case, on this bobbin case for the Husqvarna sewing machine, you've got a set screw that is on your right side, this little screw right here, and you've got an adjusting screw right here on the left. And the simple principle is on the bobbin case, pretty much for any sewing machine, is if you want to have better definition on that top stitch, the top stitch, then you're going to turn this in small little increments clockwise. Because as you turn this in small increments clockwise, what it's going to do is it's going to increase the pressure on that tension band, and it's going to be pushing down on that thread heavier, giving greater definition to that top stitch. If the opposite is true and you're not able to get good definition on your lock stitch, even though you've turned this almost up to the maximum, then what you need to do in that case is you need to back this screw out a little bit. Because if you're cranking this up way high, because we know that the upper tension is pulling up to define that lock stitch, but even as you turn this up almost up to the maximum, you're still not getting a nicely defined lock stitch. Then this little guy right here is being a bully, and you need to take away some of the power. So then we'll take this adjusting screw right here, and we're going to back that off by turning that counterclockwise in very small increments. Very small increments. We're talking probably between a half to a millimeter in each adjusting phase. Then you do a stitch off, you look at the result, you take it out again if you need to, make another small little adjustment, put it back in, run a stitch off, and then you'll get it just perfectly balanced, where this doesn't have to be turned either all the way out or all the way in. You'll be able to have a nice field of adjustment between the bobbin case and the upper tension, and still have some flexibility as you go through various materials like we're going to be doing today. As you go through a wide field of materials, you're still going to have the capability of not having this maxed out and not having this maxed out, so that you still have the ability to make subtle adjustments to accommodate the machine. The other thing I'll show you real quick, and it seems like it's common sense, but as you go to reinsert this, make sure that the thread is on the left side of this finger, so that as you go to pull that thread up, it's not going to get caught in like it will right now on this side. Move it to the left side, and then go ahead and reinsert this this bobbin case into the raceway. And always make sure, it seems common sense, but make sure that your needle is not down when you're trying to do this. As silly as that might sound to you, I've had people call me that are trying to reinsert a bobbin case, and they say it came out fine, but now it won't go back in. And they'll send me a picture. And sure enough, when they send me a picture, the needle is down all the way down into the raceway. Okay. So sometimes things that should be obvious are not obvious. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and reinsert that back in, and it's clipped back in place. I'll grab my thread, rotate it towards me, bring that thread back up. And draw those two threads to the rear now so we can get ready to do our first sew offs pretty quickly. And also periodically, from a maintenance standpoint, periodically you'll want to take off this plate for the feed dogs, because some of that thread will get bunched up into the feed dog area and around the feed dogs, and you won't be able to access it from down here. You'll have to take this little plate off, go and get that all tidied up like you've seen me do in the Facebook pictures. It's amazing the amount of lint and material debris that can get caught up in here, and it can start to hinder how effective those feed dogs are in doing their job. And when it comes to the effectiveness of dogs, they've got a really important job to do when it comes to material feed. So doing regular maintenance about every 6 to 8 hours, again, especially if you're working with materials like fleece and other things like that, that'll leave a lot of deposits behind. Take this off, do what I showed you down here, and your brain center for your sewing machine will be so happy and will take good care of you. Okay. It'll take very good care of you. All right, let me take a look at the phone real quick. So I know that a text came in a while ago, and I wasn't ignoring it. I just wanted to get through that little instructional piece. Excuse me. Oh, wow. LJ, Susie from Minnesota just sent me a text. Well, I shouldn't say just sent me a text. Sent me a text at 10:26, so about 20 minutes ago, letting me know that LJ gave me a super chat donation on the live stream. And thank you so much for that. The super chat is something that YouTube gives folks the opportunity to consider doing. You might remember Rita. Rita did that when I mailed her that hat and some other goodies over in Holland. And it's expensive. It's very expensive when you mail things across the pond, as you mail things to England or Ireland or Australia or any of the other places that we've mailed things. It's very expensive, and that comes out of my budget unless someone offsets it. And that's what Rita had done from Holland. Rita had done a donation similar to what LJ just did to help me out, because, I don't get rich doing this. Rich monetarily. Let me clarify that. I don't get rich monetarily doing this sort of work, but I get so many other wealthy, wonderful blessings through doing the work that I do. And so when I decide to give away, those fancy scissors, or I give away double eye needles or anything like that, those are things that I buy. And so when someone just out of the blue says, "Hey, I want to help you out, Scott. I want to help your margin so that you can do more with your mission. You can give more fun stuff away. You can, when you reach milestones." And by the way, if I didn't mention it to you all, we are approaching our next major milestone already. Already. We are coming up on 14,000 subscribers, and I'm in awe of that, because like I told you way back when I hit 300 subscribers, I did a little dance. I did a little dance because I thought it was the biggest deal. I thought it was the coolest thing when I hit 300, and then it was 3,000, and then it was 13,000, and soon it'll be 14,000. And whenever I hit these major milestones, I typically do some sort of a giveaway. It might be a sewing machine, like the last one where I gave away a number of different featherweight sewing machines to people that got involved with the last major milestone at 13,000. I don't know what I'm going to do for this next giveaway when we hit 14,000, but I'm leaning towards, holy mackerel, that's a big spider. I'm like a little kid. Hold on a second. Let me first of all say again, thank you to LJ. let me say again, thank you to LJ for doing that. And what Susie wrote specifically is gave you a super chat donation on the live stream. Which featherweight did you prepare and donate to the Smithsonian? The machine that was donated to the Smithsonian and accepted by the Smithsonian was a 222K. The featherweight of featherweights, as I call them, it's the free arm featherweight version that I've only had the privilege to work on a couple of times. They are the cat's meow when it comes to featherweight machines. So yeah, it was a 222K that went to the Smithsonian. I try to minimize that. I wanted to share it with all of you because I think it is something to be proud of, getting a sewing machine accepted to the Smithsonian. But here's the reality about the Smithsonian. They have millions, millions and millions and millions of items that they've accepted, to include sewing machines, that are sitting in a large storage space, and they're on a proposed rotation of when those items will eventually go on the floor of one of the many museums of the Smithsonian. So I don't even know if that machine that I donated and was accepted by the Smithsonian is going to land on the floor during my lifetime. I honestly don't. But the fact that we got one accepted, and it not only had workshop magic, but it had paint shop magic as well, is a big deal. And that's a feather in all of our caps at Cow Country. So thank you again to LJ for the donation. Let me show you this spider that I was distracted by for a second. I don't know anything about spiders, but they do come up sometimes to say hello. And this is the one that's saying hello right now. See if I get pretty close to him. And I am not a fan. I'm not a fan of spiders. They're creepy. They're stealthy. All right, guys, keep an eye on that spider, okay? Keep an eye on that spider, because he might be trying to flank you, okay? He might be trying to flank you at any second. So get ready. Get ready. All right, you're ready too? All right, watch that spider. Watch that spider, because he's over there. He's over there. All right? Oh my gosh, so much fun. All right, let's see here. I think that's the only text message that I had, was from Susie from Minnesota, letting me know about the very kind and very generous donation from LJ. I'm so grateful for that. And we've had other people that have helped out in other ways. Susie, that just sent me that message, is the one that at Christmas time sent me a ton of goodies, including every needle ever made by Schmidt, practically, so that I would have that as a resource, so that when I get done with a machine like this for California and I go to send it back, I can send it back with a brand new needle. And others have made other donations as well that have helped me out quite a bit. And that's taking care of the family, isn't it? We're all part of the same Cow Country family. And when we take care of each other, it benefits us all, so that I can do more of what I do. And I can also have fun giving stuff away, like this stuff. These scissors and these double eye needles. I would love to do even more of that, or giving even more sewing machines away when we reach major milestones. And I don't know if the leaders, I wasn't looking at the live chat, so forgive me. Maybe one of the leaders can send me a text. If you decided how we're going to potentially give these mugs away during the live stream today, I showed you this mug and I showed you the other mug. If you came up with some way of us doing that, just, monitor that. Let me know if anyone meets that expectation, and who they are. They can reach out afterwards privately, and I'll make sure that one of these two mugs, either this one or this one, is mailed out to them, so that they can put this in their sewing room and drink tea from it, or coffee from it, or Mountain Dew, or whatever you want to drink from it. That's up to you. All right, let me get that back up there. All right, so I didn't even walk you around the entire machine. I got on a sidetrack of maintenance and stuff, which is important, and I didn't even cover the entire machine. Let me put my phone back over there, and I'll listen for any text messages. And certainly if anyone wants to call in, you can do that as well. I'll just say open-ended. If anyone wants to call in during the live stream to get a choice of one of Susie's hats, kind of like Kevin Orr did on one of the previous live streams. If you want to call in during the live stream to get one of Susie's hats, feel free to do that anytime before we end the live stream. And I'll put you on speaker. You can say hello to the audience. You can introduce yourself if you'd like by your screen name. Again, I like to protect privacy. So if you want to just introduce yourself by the screen name so that when we're in the live chat, they know, oh, that's what so-and-so's voice sounds like. That would be totally cool. And then I can give away another one of Susie's hats during the live stream as well. But a quick walk around this machine again. Let's finish this up and then let's jump into this machine. This 1958 Type 21. Does anyone know, by the way, what size motor this Type 21 has? I haven't posted the progress shots on Facebook yet. I'm going to get into the habit, and maybe it's kind of out of order. Traditionally, I've always posted all the pictures on Facebook, and then I do the live stream. At least recently, I've been running out of time, and I've been doing the live stream, and then I post the pictures afterwards. So I'll be doing that again. Watch for those pictures of what I did to this Swedish beauty. And then you can have an appreciation for the depth of my process, if you will. But I'll walk around the machine again. Over here is going to be a feed dog drop. Right now, you can see that little dot, I think you can see that. That little dot is at the 12 o'clock position. If you want to drop the feed dogs for doing free motion quilting or freehand embroidery, something like that, you rotate this down to the 6 o'clock position. And then when you're done doing that, you rotate it back up to the 12 o'clock position again. And, and then your feed dogs will be fully engaged. This right here is our stitch width. Right now we're on 0, so we're set up to do a straight stitch. If we turn it somewhere between 1 and 4, we're going to get needle swing for zigzagging and or some of the decorative ornamental stitches that cam A1 or AI is going to do. I should take that out and show you guys real quick. I've done that before. Well, let me take that out real quick and I'll show you the difference, potential difference with the cams that are in the back of these Swedish beauties as well. And hopefully you can see that. So if you look real close right up there, if you look real close up there, it's really dark, isn't it? Hold on a second. And it's so weird because there's a light right above me. You know what I mean? There's a light right above me. So maybe you can see that. I don't know. There it is. I have to kind of angle it. So on the top of there, excuse me. On the top of there, you can see it has the letter A. And then it has what looks like an I next to it. Whenever you look at one of these cams and it has a letter, and then it has another symbol next to it, it's going to look like an I, or it's going to look like maybe a Roman numeral 1, whatever it is. That's going to tell you when it has that second symbol, that's going to tell you that it's a revised cam. So originally Husqvarna came out with an A cam, and then they decided to change some of the stitches that were on that cam. They decided to upgrade that cam. And so to distinguish the revised, the original cam A, they add that extra little symbol right next to the letter. I think if I turn it like way like that, maybe. They add that extra little symbol next to the letter to tell you that it's a revised cam. So I've said this in other live streams. If you acquire a Swedish beauty and it has 2 A cams, but one of them is just an A and the other one is like an AI, don't give it away to a friend. Don't sell it. Don't get rid of it, because that revised cam A is going to have different stitches on it than the original cam A. So you'd be giving away additional stitches that your machine would be able to do by doing that. So, and again, these machines originally would have come with cams A, B, C, and then eventually Husqvarna came out with cams D and cam E. And again, I have those cams. I'd have to go get them and put on some polka music or something like that. But if anyone really, really is determined and says, oh my gosh, I would love to see the output for cam D or the output for cam E during either this live stream or another one, let me know that. You can send me a text, you can call me, and we can go ahead and do that so you can see the output of those cams, because you're not going to see cams like this readily available anywhere. They really are like pure gold. These are really like pure gold. And there's been a couple people that have tried to use 3D printing to do them. It doesn't work for whatever reason. I have no idea why. Maybe it's because of the contour or the beveling of it or whatever it is. But they haven't had good success in trying to 3D copy these either. So the original ones are really hard to come by, especially when you get into the cams D and E. They're almost impossible to find. Almost impossible. All right, let me put this back in so I don't forget. And the reason I'm making sure I put it back in, and I've told you this in other live streams, the reason you want to always make sure you have one of these cams in the back of one of these Swedish beauties is because the cam also sets the swing boundaries for the needle. Without the cam in the back, the needle will swing outside of its boundary of the throat plate, and it will strike the throat plate and either break the needle, or worse yet, it'll scar the throat plate over here. And then as that thread is feeding out of there from the bobbin case, it's going to catch on those rugged, rough pieces of the throat plate opening that have been scarred by the needle hitting it. And then you're going to have sewing issues. You're going to have sewing issues with that not going through correctly. There it is. Yeah, so it's really important you always have one of those cams in the back of these green machines, because it sets the boundary of this needle, how far it's going to swing. And without that cam in there, it'll swing too wide and it'll hit that throat plate. I had one person that was really determined to make their point one time. They contacted me. I want to say that they were from New Zealand. I believe they were from New Zealand. And they said, all right, I get that. I get what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. I got to have a cam in the back. I got this machine. It didn't have a cam, but I can still straight stitch with it. Yes. Straight stitching generally, unless the machine is having issues, straight stitching does not require needle swing. So yes, you can straight stitch with your Swedish beauty that does not have a cam without hitting the throat plate. You can do that. He got such a sense of satisfaction out of that. Like, okay, good. All right, I'm fine now. Okay, cheers. And that was the end of our conversation. So I love New Zealand people. I do. I really, truly do. I love New Zealand people. All right, another text message. Let's see what we have. Susie just sent a text. Okay. So what Susie is proposing, and I'm just double checking, I'm checking my phone, I'm looking at my phone again, I'm making sure my phone does not have anything recognizable about my friend Susie from Minnesota other than Susie-MN. And so I'm going to show you exactly what Susie wrote. So if you want to win one of those mugs, Susie, as one of my leadership team members, is saying this is what you need to do. Okay? There it is. So the long and short of it is Susie's saying Gift's got a call. Gift's got a call during the live stream, and you can have your pick of the mugs. I've got 2 mugs to give away. If someone wants to call me during the live stream, then if you're the first caller, you get your pick of one of those 2 mugs. Again, the purpose of the call is not just to say, hey, this is John from Oklahoma, but share something fun, share something interesting. How did you start sewing? Something, whatever you want to share, whatever talk about the machines you have. Talk about your most failed project. Talk about your most successful project ever, or something like that. Or talk about, the time that you were sewing in a public place and Madonna walked up and said, "Oh, that looks like fun. If I weren't so busy, I would take on sewing." Whatever you want to share. Talk about when you met John Lennon and he was sewing on that FOF, like I've shown you pictures of before. This is John Lennon right here sewing on a FOF sewing machine. Talk about you were there when he did it. You could even make up a story. I make up stories. It's fun sometimes. Talk about when you met John Lennon and he was sewing on that FOF and what the other Beatles said about him trying out sewing. Whatever you want to share. But if you want to call, you can win one of those mugs. If you don't call, then I'm going to hang on to my mugs and hope that one of those nasty, yucky spiders doesn't build a nest inside of one of those mugs. I promise to clean it if they do. And this little guy's in motion right now. He's actually moved up the wall a ways. This is the last time I'll show him. I promise I won't show him again. Let's see if I can get him to move while we're looking at him. Oops, I just knocked something off. I think it was here Obermeister. Yeah, they're just, I don't know. Spiders have such an important role. They have such an important role in the world, They really do. They do really important work, but I wish they would work somewhere else, I wish they would work somewhere else. Yeah, they should work somewhere else, not in the workshop, because they distract me and then they slow me down. You know what I mean? They just slow me down. Okay. So no one is rushing to call me. So apparently you don't really want those mugs very much, and that's okay. Okay, so we cover a little bit more about this machine, and then let's actually use this machine. Why don't we do that? This machine, again, is out of California, Torrance, California, I think it is. Torrance, California. Excuse me, Torrance, Torrance, California. And it belongs to Sandra McCarthy. So I already talked about stitch width over here. Then we have stitch length right here and also reverse. If we move this all the way to the top, we're going to be sewing in reverse. Over here, we've got a control that does a couple of things. When the stitch width, I'm going to say this again, because I get calls about this all the time. Someone will contact me and they'll say, my control for needle position does not work. I think I need to send you my machine. And I'll say, well, send me a picture of what you're working with. And here's what I see. Like that. And you might say, well, wait, what did you just do? What I just did is they were zigzagging. They had their stitch width control somewhere between 4 and 1. And when you move your stitch width control over between 4 and 1 on a Swedish Beauty, it's going to override your ability to adjust needle position. So before you go to adjust needle position, you just turn this back to 0. And then your needle position works beautifully. I can't tell you how many people I saved shipping and other things because of that simple thing. So this is going to be needle position, but it only works when your stitch width is on 0, okay? And then finally, we have the other function of this control area, which is so important with this machine. It's going to be our cam adjuster, which is this little silver slider right here that you can pull in or out. And you see the numbers on the side of it. We get really close. There they are. Between 1 and 5, I believe it is, isn't it? 1 and 5. And the thing about these is 5, in other words, with this slider all the way in as far as it goes, when that slider is in as far as it goes to number 5, and you have a cam in the machine, unlike our friend from New Zealand that didn't have a cam, whenever you're in position 5, you're going to get a zigzag. And the machine has to have a cam to properly zigzag because, again, it sets the swing boundaries for the machine. So no matter what cam I put in this machine, whether it's the A revised cam like we have right now, whether it's an A cam, a B revised cam, a B cam, a C revised cam, a C cam, and you get the idea, a D cam or an E cam, it doesn't matter which cam it is. In position 5, you're always going to have a zigzag. And the Swedes do that intentionally. So no matter what cam you're using, you've always got that zigzag function associated with the cam function, and you've got those swing boundaries set so that you don't damage your throat plate and you don't break needles all the time. All the other settings, 4, 3, 2, 1, are going to be specifically for decorative ornamental stitches that cam can generate. Now, the important thing about changing positions with that slider, I'm going to kind of set the camera down a little bit here. The important thing about changing positions with that slider, come over here, is whenever you're trying to move this slider, you need to recalibrate the machine. And it sounds really complicated, doesn't it? It's not. All you have to do is, if you've been zigzagging, your stitch width is going to be on 4, like I just moved it back to. When your stitch width is engaged, the little finger in the back of the machine is pressed into the cam, reading those bumps. As the machine is running, that cam is turning like this, and that little finger is reading those bumps so it knows what stitch to generate. So when we're changing the position of that finger that's being pressed into that cam, we want to retract that finger so that it doesn't get damaged by us trying to force that slider. So what we do when we're trying to move this slider, we take our stitch width and we simply turn it to 0 temporarily. We turn it to 0, then I can move this slider anywhere I want to move it, because that finger is not pressed into it right now. Now, if I want that finger to press back into it and read off of cam revised A, that sounded awkward. If I want it to read what's on cam A revised, that sounds even more awkward. Anyway, if I want it to be able to read the cam, once I get that slider in the position I want, right now we're in position 1, then I've got to remember to take my stitch width and turn it back to 4 again, or somewhere in the range of 3 to 4 is what I would recommend. As soon as I turn that to number 4 or 3 or 2 or 1, that little finger that was retracted, that could not read the bumps on the cam, all of a sudden rotates back in, and now it's ready to read that cam again like Braille. When I don't want that finger pressed in because I'm done sewing the stitch that's in position 1, I zero this out again so that finger pulls back, and then I can move this back to there, or to there, or to there, or to there. And then I re-engage my stitch width again, so I'm ready to sew that decorative stitch or whatever it is, or that zigzag. Hopefully that helps, because I've had people as well contact me numerous times where they say their slider is jammed and they're all prepared to pack up their sewing machine and send it into the workshop. And I say that would definitely be beneficial, because there's 140 service points that I take a Swedish beauty through. And I'm sure that hasn't been done on your machine if you've been taking it to a sew-and vac. But for your immediate problem, the slider is probably jammed because that finger is pressed into the cam right now, and you're trying to force that finger, which can damage it, can actually bend it. All you have to do is take your stitch width from 4 down to 0. and then you'll be able to move that readily without any difficulty whatsoever. All right, so hopefully that's helpful. What else? I think that's about it. Like I said, this doesn't have a quick release with a presser foot. Got our upper tension here. We talked about how they can fight against the bobbin case. The needle, when you put the needle in, the flat side is going to go to the rear. You thread the needle from front to back. What else? I think that's about it. It's fairly simple machine to operate. The only other thing is we've got a slow gear that we can engage over here if we choose to do it. You grab this and you pull this out. It engages the slow gear, which takes the machine from full speed down to 1/5 speed. It doesn't change the power. And I didn't look at the live chat when I asked about the motor, but I'm guessing that the answers that I would have gotten is probably either a 1 amp motor or a 1.5 amp motor. Those of you that said that this Type 21 from 1958 very likely has a 1.5 amp motor, you were correct. So give yourself a pat on the back if you were part of that group that said 1.5 versus 1 amp. So it's going to slow the machine down, but it's not going to change the power. This machine is going to have 1.5 amps after I optimize the motor. It's not going to all of a sudden have 2 amps or 2.5 amps or something like that because you use the slow gear. It's only going to slow the machine down. It's not going to increase the power. And I say that multiple times because there's misinformation being sent all over the internet about the function of what the slow gear does. It takes it from full speed down to 1/5. Does not change the power of whatever that motor output is. If you have a motor that has not been optimized and it's rated at 1 amp, you're probably getting about 0.6 amps. If you have a motor that's rated at 1.5 amps like this Type 21, and it has not been optimized in the workshop, you're probably getting about 1 amp, maybe 1.1 amps. But I can say with complete certainty, you're not getting the full benefit of what that motor can do. And you're not likely to be able to sew something like this with 3 layers of saddle gray leather. Yeah, not likely at all. I would say it's almost impossible. Yeah, so, all right. Well, let's actually sew with this machine. What do you think? Let's actually sew with it. I'm going to put our sew offs that we've already done in the back. And the only other thing I didn't mention specifically, but I've said it in a lot of other live streams, so you probably already know it. When you're doing any of the decorative cam generated stitches, the only other thing you need to make sure you do is that you adjust your stitch length. You're going to want to bring your stitch length down to almost 1, just below 1, probably like 0.75, 0.5, which means moving it all the way from where it is right now, all the way up to about right there. And that's when you're doing cam generated stitches, so you get better definition. Right about in that area right there. Okay. So the next question is, as I move this back into position, and I do have extra bobbins in case we run out of bobbin thread. And just a quick little thing about bobbins. These right here are actually aftermarket bobbins. These 2 that I filled. The good news is, I'll get my magnet. The good news is they are metal. They genuinely are metal. There are some aftermarket ones made for the Swedish beauties as well that are aluminum. I do not recommend them. And to the sellers that are selling them, I apologize, but they don't work well. They're too light. They're too light spinning up in the bobbin case and in the raceway, and they tend to overfeed the thread, and you get, no matter what you do to the tension, you tend to get issues with thread balance and with bird nesting. The metal ones are okay. I do not recommend the aluminum aftermarket bobbins that are being sold on places like Etsy and Pinterest and on eBay. I don't recommend them. So if you're going to buy replacements, ask that seller directly, are they all metal or are they aluminum? If they're aluminum, and they're going to be tinted a little bit differently than this. They're going to almost look like they're kind of grayish. Don't buy them. They're going to give you a lot of headaches. Give you a lot of headaches. All right. I think I just got another text. Give me just a sec. Okay, this is a message from our friend Kevin Orr. And Kevin writes, have you gone over how to optimize a motor in the past for a review? The answer is I have not. There's about 40 steps that I take a motor through. Actually, it's closer to 45 now. There's 45 steps that I take a Swedish motor through when I'm optimizing it so it has maximum power. So it gives you the full benefit of the 1 amp or the 1.5 amps, whatever it is. Or if you have, say, a 6,000 series machine, like I think Kevin said he has, some of those 6,000 series machines are going to be rated less than 1 amp. Some of them are 0.8, and I think there may even be one that's 0.6. But the process of optimizing a motor, I'll tell you what, I'll make you a deal. When I retire someday and I'm no longer actively doing what I'm doing, I don't have to be as guarded about some of my trade secrets. And assuming that I haven't sold the business to someone else that has acquired my trade secrets, then what I'll do is I'll do some videos similar to like my friend Andy Tube does. Andy Tube is back to posting some videos. So if you're a follower and a fan of Andy Tube, as many of you are, then know that Andy Tube is, at least to some degree, back in the saddle again. And I shared recently a private note, and it wasn't any big deal, but I shared a private note with Susie from Minnesota, because Susie was the one that let me know that Andy was posting some videos again. And so I shot a note out to Andy, and because Susie had let me know about it, I shared the note with Susie behind the scenes. But Andy Tube does a lot of great tutorial, how do you do this, do it yourself type things. That's not really my thing, because I have a lot of processes that I've developed, and I'm kind of protective of them. And that includes my motor work as well. I'll post some pictures sometimes on Facebook of some of the steps that I do on the motor, but I don't give the store away on that. But if I stop doing what I'm doing sometime in the near future or the distant future, and no one buys the business, then I'll post some videos showing specific processes. I'll probably run about 3 or 4 hours, but I'll probably show a complete servicing of a Swedish Beauty, including the motor optimization. That might take to like 4 hours, maybe 5. And I'll do that for other machines as well that are really popular in our cow country family. I'll probably show a complete service of a 201, 1591, 401, a lot of the Slantomatics. I'll show complete servicing of any of the other machines that I have in my inventory that you're wanting to see. So all of that blah, blah, blah is to say to my friend Kevin Orr, I haven't shown that. And it's very intentionally that I haven't shown it, but I might eventually. And in the meantime, you could go to Andy's site, and there's maybe some other sites out there where they give you some tips on optimizing a Swedish motor. I'm sure it won't be as complete and it won't be as in depth as what I would do to the motor, but it still might be beneficial. So check some of those out, and hopefully it's helpful to you in the meantime. Okay. All right. I think that's it. Showed you that, showed you that, showed you this, showed you that. Drop down the light. Ah, we're blind. We're blind. Yes, of course I replaced it with an LED bulb. So much better, so much brighter lights, so much less heat. So, all right. So let me pick this machine up, rotate it around, and we'll get busy on some sew-offs finally. Can you believe this is crazy? I know this is absolutely insane. This is absolutely crazy and insane, but you expect that on this channel. We've been running almost 2 hours, and I haven't even done the first sew-off yet. And I've been just glancing periodically at the audience, the chat, the folks that are visible right now in the count, and we haven't had a single person step away. That says a lot about the caliber and the quality of our audience. They're patient, they're persistent, and they're like, whatever Scott shares is going to be important even before he goes in front of the machine. Even before he goes in front of the machine. And I'll show you a little video clip. I haven't posted it on Facebook yet, real quick, of our friend Mindy. Remember Mindy Super Bee from Las Vegas, Nevada? And during the live stream, when I was presenting that 66K from 1935, the hand crank, she sent me a text message and basically said, that's my machine. I want to buy it. Even before I did the first sew off. And when I pointed that out in the live stream, she said, anything that comes out of your workshop is going to be page 34 plus. So why wouldn't I offer to buy a machine that I want even before I see it sew? And it arrived safely out in Las Vegas. No surprise because of the way I pack. But she sent a little video clip. I thought it was really cute. Let me show it to you real quick, if I may. And then we'll jump into this machine finally. She sent a little video clip, and I thought it was really cute. Let me see if I can expand it. And I'm not really good at this. Let me see if I can rotate it like that. That's a little bit better. Okay, I think I have it right. Hopefully I'll get the camera to focus on it, then I'll hit play. And her number isn't showing. No, her number isn't showing. I don't want people calling Mindy and say, hey, Mindy, what's up? So it'll be better on Facebook, but I'll just play it and give a listen. Hopefully I've got the volume all the way up. I think I do. All right, here we go. And I did it right, I think.
Mary, thank you so much for this machine. I love it. And Scott, thank you. I would have thought Houdini himself had packaged it.
Okay, that was really quiet. I apologize. Let me try it one more time. All right, here we go again.
Mary, thank you so much for this machine. I love it. And Scott, thank you. I would have thought Houdini himself had packaged it.
So anyway, that's Mindy. If you've seen Mindy pop up in the live stream before, if you wondered, who is this Mindy? What does it look like? Now you know. And she was wearing the cow country hat that I sent her with her machine that Susie made from Minnesota. And if you had trouble hearing that, don't worry. I'm going to put it on Facebook. You can crank it up and then you can listen to it. But she basically she thanks Mary because Mary brought that 66K to the workshop and wanted a way to defray the cost of the other machines, the project cost of those other machines that she brought. She said, I'm not going to use this hand crank. If you would be willing to take it through your workshop magic and then present it to your audience, I'm sure someone will. Well, she didn't say that. She was more uncertain. She said, I'm hoping that someone will find it to be a machine that they'll want to acquire. Well, we didn't even sew on the machine. And Mindy from Las Vegas is like, that's mine. That's mine. So she wanted Mindy in her little video clip thanked Mary for bringing it to the workshop so I could do the magic on it and offering it for potential sale. And then she calls me Houdini of the packing. I thought Houdini was a person that escaped from things, but apparently, yeah, I know what she meant. I'm just messing around. But Mindy is a sweetheart of a gal. And if you ever see her pop up in the live stream anytime soon, you can go, hey, I saw your video clip. Probably couldn't hear it, but I saw it. So, anyway, okay. Let's actually do something with this machine. I'm going to give you guys a choice. Guys and gals. So we've got this super thin satin. We've got velvet. We've got genuine elk hide, saddle grade leather, protected full grain leather, heavy grade denim, 100% cotton, compressed felt, commercial canvas. That's what this is here. And then bubblegum material. The bubblegum material. All of you pretty much know why I call it bubblegum material. So those are our potential sew-offs on this 1958 Swedish Beauty. You already know that one of the sew-offs we're going to do is these 3 layers of saddle grade leather. I did it off camera and to get rid of those naysayers and those haters and those skeptics that a machine like this that was defined for household can't sew at this level. We're going to do this on the live stream today. I'll probably lay down a zigzag and also lay down a straight stitch as well, like I did off camera. But these are our sew-offs right here. If there's anyone that wants to voice an opinion on what we're going to try, we'll start with that, and then we'll just kind of get through this. We'll see how far we get. Right? Yeah. See how far we get. Uh-oh. That spider's gone. Where did he go? Ah, it's probably crawling on my shoe right now. So, at any rate, let me know what you think. If you have a particular material you want to see first, we'll give that a go. Yeah, and then we'll get busy. Get busy after 2 hours, doggone it. 2 hours. 2 hours and 5 minutes. Scott, if you didn't talk so much, we'd get so much more done. We get so much more done. Emma wants to see the triple layer. Susie is saying denim. Candido is giving me the charge, kind of like we used to do in the Ranger battalions. Hoo-ah! He's saying, no fear, buddy, no fear. Go after that saddle grade leather. So saddle grade leather, denim is kind of the vote. So we're going to do saddle grade leather, and then we'll do the denim after that. And I think I'm popping some Tic Tacs in my mouth. If you hear me kind of like, I don't sound as clear right now. It's because I have Tic Tacs floating around in my mouth. We'll do the saddle grade leather, and then we'll do the denim, and then we'll see what else you all want to see. Yeah. Oh, Christine from Canada is saying, let's do the canvas. So we'll do the canvas as well. It's commercial grade canvas. So we have our first 3 potential sew-offs. Let's go ahead and put this Swedish beauty to work with her 1.5 amp motor and see how she does. I'm going to move this sewing book out of the way. And I don't know if Sandra McCarthy is joining us and is in the shadows. She said she might be on the road. And so if she's on the road, she'll watch this later. But to Sandra, don't have a heart attack. That is a lot of leather right there. I don't know of anywhere else on the internet or on a YouTube channel where someone will use a Swedish beauty to go through this much leather. That's probably almost 12 ounces of leather, 10 to 12 ounces of leather. And to boot, it's saddle grade. Saddle grade leather is a very hardy leather. Used gun holsters, horse-related things, equestrian things, and all that. So it's not an easy peasy leather. We're not talking about garment leather. We're talking about hardcore leather. And we'll see how this machine does with it. All right, get this into position. Should probably use my clips to sew straighter. I probably should use my clips. All right. And we might as well lay down a zigzag to begin with, right? We'll start with a zigzag and then we'll go to a straight stitch. All right. Wish I could get just a little bit closer, but this camera is high profile, so it's a little bit harder to get closer. All right, let's do a zigzag and then we'll lay down a straight stitch next to it. And keep your fingers crossed. Stuff that works off camera sometimes does not work on camera. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm hoping. All right. Yeah, what do you think? Maybe I should clip it. Hold on a second. Try to hold this together just a little bit better. I did not use clips when I sewed it off camera, but Maybe better safe than sorry, huh? Oh, I know what else I was going to do. I know what else I was going to do. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. And I did this off camera. I've got all of these facing the same way right now. I wanted to flip this bottom one so that we can see the stitching more clearly, which is going to make it even more difficult for the machine because we're going against the grain. We don't have all the leather orientated the same way. So we're going to be kind of going against the grain. It's going to make it more difficult, but that's the way I tested it off camera. So we're going to try it the same way. All right, take 2 or 3 or 4, or whatever it is. And when you're attempting a sew off like this, remember again, your presser foot pressure is inside of here. You're going to want to bump this up about as high as you can go. I mean, bump it way up. So I've got it cranked up, I think, almost to max. And on this machine, you're going to rotate it towards you like this little disc to increase the presser foot pressure, to decrease it. If we do silk or satin, or we do that velvet, we'll rotate this to the rear to lessen that presser foot pressure a little bit. But I'll tell you one thing, this is, no matter how you slice and dice it, this is not an easy sew off. Not even for a Swedish beauty. And I've got to thank Paula Noel from West Palm Beach, Florida. She's kind of taken a sabbatical away, so we haven't seen her for a while, but I know that she still pops in sometimes. But she had sent me these little clips when she saw me using these clips instead, and she said, "You don't need something that big, Scott. All right? You don't need something that big, buddy." All right, let me check to make sure I'm sewing straight, sort of. All right. All right. Again, keep your fingers and toes crossed. We're going through about 12 ounces of saddle grade leather, 3 layers, 2 facing one way, the other one facing up so that we can see the stitch quality on the bottom. Am I nervous? Yeah. When you attempt a sew off of this type on a live stream where anything can happen, it's a little bit nerve wracking. But I poured a lot of time into this California machine. So let's just make it happen. Like Candido from New York said, no fear. No fear. All right, here we go. Zigzag and then a straight stitch after that. Just going to move it over a little bit. And what I do sometimes when I'm first launching on the Swedish Beauties, because they tend to be pretty aggressive about pulling the thread, I might just hold a little finger on there as I'm launching, and then I'll let go of it just so we don't get any bird nesting. All right, here we go. I'm nervous. A little. All right, here we go. Get that there. Whew, I can breathe again. I'm breathing now. Sort of. I'm sort of breathing. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right, I'm just going to launch right into a straight stitch. And then we'll look at both of the stitches side by side. Unbelievable. Wow. All right, let's get this done. Let's do a straight stitch now. Like Candido said from New York, and I'm actually in the process of preparing a Swedish beauty for Candido from New York. And I think I mentioned to Emma that I was going to be working on a Swedish beauty, finalizing it. She said, "Is it for Candido?" I said, "Not yet. Not yet. I'm still working on other machines." All right, let's try to do a straight stitch on this now. 3 layers of saddle gray leather. All right, here we go. Angle that down just a little bit. There we go. All right, here we go. Keep your fingers and toes crossed. Straight stitch now. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Here we go. Straight stitch. Let's see what happens. Here we go. Oh, interesting. I'm going to do this a second time because I got 2 points. 2 points where we had a skip stitch. 2 points where we got a skip stitch. And that will happen when you're going through this much leather. That will happen sometimes. It didn't happen off camera, but it just happened right now, so I might stitch it again. Yeah, why don't I stitch it again? I may have also damaged the needle. But at any rate, this is what we did with the sew off, and I might stitch down one more time and do another straight stitch, but that's a lot of leather to go through. You can see from the side right there. Trying to see which side is lined up better. This is actually lined up better on that side. And I'm not using a leather needle. I probably should have used a leather needle. That would have been a good choice to use a leather needle. So we'll look at these side by side, top stitch first and then lock stitch. And then I might stitch down this one more time right between to see if we can overcome that skip stitch issue that it had. So, but these are beautiful stitches, folks. Actually, I'll turn it like this. It'll be easier. And look for those skip stitches I talked about. It didn't happen on the zigzag, but it happened on the straight stitch. Right about there. And then right near the end. Turn it over and look at the lock stitch. All I can say is it's absolutely gorgeous stitching. And I'm not concerned about the skip stitching because we're dealing with so much leather and a non-leather needle. So we don't have that advantage. Beautiful, beautiful stitching. And we'll go down it one more time. I'm just curious to see what will happen. This again is our lock stitch. All right, let's do this one more time. And if I get the same result, I may end up switching out this needle. I've already worked it out quite a bit, and mainly with all leather sewing. And I may have gotten a little bit of a barb on that needle. That can happen sometimes where the needle will get a little bit of a barb on it, then it'll start skipping stitches. So we're going to try this one more time, and we'll see if we can get a clean stitch line. If we do, I won't change out the needle. If we don't, I'll probably change the needle out real quick. All right, presser foot is down. You already know that I don't sew straight. Well, I'm going to do my best to sew down this between the zigzag and the straight stitch row, and we'll see if we can overcome that issue with the skip stitching on this last stitch row. If we don't, I'll change the needle and we'll just move forward. All right, keep your fingers crossed. Here we go. Silence in the workshop. Silence on the set. All right, here we go. Let's see what happens. See, the needle knew that I had threatened it. And that's a Schmetz needle, right? It's a Schmetz needle. And what does a Schmetz needle do when you threaten it? It says, No, you're not going to change me out. Not during a live stream. You're not going to change me out during a live stream. That's not going to happen. You're not going to do it. I'm not going to let you. I got distracted. I was thinking about getting a Tic Tac as well, like you, because I like Tic Tacs as much as the next guy. And so look at that middle row that we just laid down. That middle row is the second stitch off of the straight stitch we just did. Again, through this much leather. I just totally got disoriented. Top stitch. Yeah, I have no idea. Ah! Anyway, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. They're both gorgeous. So look at that middle row. That was our second sew off as I threatened to change the needle out. Folks, that is spot on. All right. Now, what about the lock stitch or the top stitch? Because I got so excited, I kind of got disoriented. Let's flip it around, and we're going to look at that middle row again. The middle row again is our lock stitch second stitch off. As I was threatening to pull the plug on this Schmetz needle. Folks, that middle row is exactly what we want to be seeing, isn't it? So the old saying of third time's the charm, apparently 2 times is the charm when you're levying a threat against the Schmetz needle. The camera was doing so well, and now it's out of focus a little bit. Well, you get the idea. We just went through close to 12 ounces of leather. We did our zigzag. We did our straight stitch. And we had a couple of points where it may have been my style of sewing. Maybe I was sewing irregularly, and that sometimes will kind of goof around with the hook a little bit, especially with a floating hook like on a Swedish Beauty. But we settled back down. We followed Candido's battle charge of no fear. We went after it a second time and said, we're going to stitch a near perfect row of straight stitching in that middle row. No skip stitches, good stitch definition, good stitch clarity, or we're going to throw you, Mr. Schmetz needle. We're going to throw you in the garbage, and we're going to replace you. We're going to replace you. And that Schmetz needle said, no, you ain't. No, you ain't. You're not going to do that. Totality of the stitching. That's kind of hard to see. Beautiful stitching, beautiful stitching. Crazy, crazy sew off. You get the idea. You're smart. We just sewed a lot of leather. A lot of leather. Now, the other thing I want to say real quick for the naysayers, the haters, and the skeptics is as long as you maintain your Swedish Beauty properly, as long as you oil it, as long as you keep that raceway cleared and clean, like I talked about, as long as you maintain the machine otherwise appropriately, you can sew stuff like this all day long. It's not a one-off. You can sew leather all the time. kind of like Candido is planning to do, just like he did with the beautiful, let me see if I can reach it. Just like he did with the beautiful wallet that he made for me. This may have been hand done. Candido can tell you. But if you missed it, Candido sent this as a special gift to me in the workshop. And I know that's why he wants to get a Swedish Beauty, is so he can do more leather work, do more leather sewing. He may have done this by hand. I don't know. I don't remember if he did this with a machine or by hand. I think he did it by hand. Pretty sure he did it by hand. But he's wanting to be able to go through leather like this using a sewing machine. And I think he's got a good chance. This is a little bit more rigid. The hand tooling kind of stiffens up the leather more. So he may have to actually use a leather needle, which would make a lot of sense, right? But he did a beautiful job on this. And Swedish Beauties can sew leather like this all the time, but you just got to maintain them. You got to do the maintenance. You got to do the work. I don't know how to top something like this after doing 3 layers of saddle gray leather, but we're going to try. One of the other requests was the canvas and also the denim. So let's do the canvas first. Let's do canvas first. We'll do canvas first. Okay. Now, this is commercial canvas. If you could feel it with your own hands, I mean, this is, in my opinion, this is actually even more sturdy and more rugged than the U.S. Army grade canvas that you've seen me sew a lot of times on this channel. This is commercial canvas, commercial grade canvas. It is tough stuff. So, going through 2 layers, I don't think that would be an insult to this machine. Maybe a little. I think going through 4 layers, folding it in half like this, that's still a lot of canvas. That's still a lot of canvas. 4 layers is a lot of canvas. It's not insulting this 1958 Swedish Beauty, maybe a little. But I think a true test of this machine would be 6 layers of commercial canvas. So I'm going to fold it kind of like that. And I'm going to fold it again. And that's kind of what 6 layers of commercial canvas looks like from the side. From the side. That's a lot of canvas. No matter how you slice and dice it, that's a lot of canvas. That's a lot of canvas. All right, let's see if we can lay down a zigzag, and then we'll lay down a straight stitch next to it. Yeah, I think I'll use, I've got them right here. I think I'll use these clips just to kind of hold it together a little bit better. 6 layers of commercial canvas, commercial grade canvas. All right, set us up for a zigzag. So all I'm doing for setting us up for a zigzag is I'm taking our stitch width over to 4. Actually, you know what? I think I'll do a 3x3 on this canvas. This canvas is this is like going through Kevlar. We'll do a 3x3 on the zigzag. There we go. 3x3. That's good. Okay. All right, let's give this a go. See what happens. The voice of confidence. Let's see what happens. 3x3. 6 layers of commercial grade canvas. And what I just did real quick is that you always launch with that take-up arm at the highest position. And it's just beginning that downstroke. See that? See that? That way you don't bind up the machine in any way. Get a little sip real quick of my soda. There we go. All right. All right, keep your fingers crossed. 6 layers of commercial canvas. This is going to be about as tough as the leather, in my opinion. We'll see how we do. All right, here we go. Lay down a straight stitch next to that. And then we'll take a look at that stitching. And what I'll do this time, I think, just for fun, yeah, that's beautiful, beautiful stitching. For fun, I think what I'll do is I'll run down this next row of straight stitching using the slow gear. And again, the way I'm going to engage that is I'm going to pull this bobbin winding assembly out right here. See that right there? Pull that out like that. And we'll try sewing on this with a slow gear, going down with a straight stitch. And again, whenever you're making adjustments on the machine, make sure that needle is clear of the material. Make sure that needle is clear. All right, here we go. A straight stitch using the slow gear. Here we go. Hey, Mom, look, no hands. And again, when you're getting ready to finish a stitch line like that using the slow gear, make sure that you disengage it by pushing it back in so that it frees up the balance wheel. Now I'm able to move that balance wheel with no trouble. All right, let's take a look at this stitching. This again, I think was a request of Christine from Canada. I believe this was Christine that wanted to see the commercial canvas. And we didn't specify how many layers, but I thought that 6 layers, which looks like that, would be a good test for this Swedish beauty. So let's see how we did. Apart from me not sewing straight. So those little dips right there, like right, where is it? Little dips right there is because the material wasn't kept in a straight line. That's not a fault of the machine. That's a fault of me. That's a fault of me as the operator, where you see those little dips in the stitch line. That's just because I let the material go out of alignment a little bit. Right, there we go. Come on, camera. Let's try it like this. The camera's acting kind of goofy. All right, now it's focused. Now I'll take it to the side. There we go. I'm just pleased. Number one, we were able to accomplish it with little or no effort on the part of the machine. No skip stitches. And all in all, good, very, very good presentation of the stitch line. Very, very nice presentation of the stitch line. Totality of the stitching. The camera will focus on that. All right, let's turn over and look at the lock stitch. And again, the lock stitch is always going to be more difficult for the machine to complete because it has to sweep down through those 6 layers of commercial canvas and pull that thread all the way back up. Well, I am very, very pleased. We've got a needle that, yeah, I don't know, based on those 3 layers of saddle grade leather, we had those 2 skip stitch areas. We have a needle that might be starting to get a little bit tired. So instead of doing a lighter job of sew offs for it, we actually pushed it all the way to 6 layers of commercial canvas. I almost said upholstery material, commercial canvas. And it did a brilliant job, I think, of getting that done as well through these 6 layers. So now we're going to move to denim. We'll move to denim now and see how it does with denim. Let's see what we have here. And thankfully, is this the stretch stuff? I think this is regular denim. I don't like that stretch stuff. Yeah, I think this is the regular stuff. So we've got 2 layers to start. I'm going to go ahead and fold it in half to get us up to 4 layers. Actually, if I fold it again, then we'll be up to 8 layers. Why don't we do 6 layers? I think we'll do 6 just like we did on the commercial canvas. Okay, so that's 2. That's 4. That's 6. I think that's 6. Should be 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 layers of heavy grade denim. Most folks are not going to be sewing 6 layers of heavy grade denim. We're going to be doing it, excuse me. We're going to be doing it to see how well this machine can manage a sew-off that is this tough. It's going to really push this machine to another level. And we are almost, with 6 layers of denim, not quite, but we're almost at the max clearance of that presser foot. We're almost at the max clearance with 6 layers of heavy grade denim. All right, let me get that into position. Get that presser foot down. I'm going to try to do this because I've got enough material to work with, even as crooked as I tend to sew. I think we'll be okay. So I'm not going to use my little clips on this. We're just going to get her done. We'll do a zigzag to begin with. And then we'll launch from that into doing a straight stitch. We might even lay down, just for fun, we might even lay down a decorative stitch on these 6 layers of denim, because that's something that most people would not expect you to see. 2 layers, yeah. 4 layers, maybe. 6 layers of denim, a decorative ornamental type stitch, people will be a little bit shocked to see that. So we're going to do it. Well, let's start with a zigzag. All right, here we go. And we'll do regular speed. We're not going to use the slow gear. All right, here we go. Oh yeah, very nice. Very nice. Okay. That's a lot of denim. All right, let's not even do a straight stitch. Straight stitch is kind of boring. Let's just go right into a decorative stitch on this now. Let's just go right into a decorative stitch. All right, get that presser foot down. You just don't realize how thick 6 layers of denim is until you start to feel it with your hand. That is just crazy. 6 layers of denim. So now we're going to lay down a decorative stitch down 6 layers of denim, which kind of a little bit crazy. We've got between, let's see, 4 and 1. 4 and 1. I don't remember what the stitches are with this Cam A revised. See if I can find that stitch off that I just did. This was on protected full grain leather. So it's probably like this. I'm guessing this is going to be stitch number 5, the zigzag. That's a smaller zigzag. The shell thing is going to be 4. The 3-point zigzag is going to be 3. What looks kind of like a blind hem stitch is going to be 2. And then this one here, the McDonald's symbol or whatever it is going to be number 1. So I'll let you pick between 1, 2, 3, or 4. We already did a zigzag, so we're not going to repeat that. Number 1, 2, 3, or 4. And 3 is going to be that 3-point zigzag, the second from the bottom there. So we will attempt one of those through 6 layers of heavy grade denim. So again, 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1. 4 is the shell type thing. 3-point zigzag. Sort of, well, it's more of a combing. I said blind hem, but that's more of a combing type stitch, I believe. And then a McDonald's one down here with a little M symbol. Yeah, see what you guys are saying. We'll give that a go. Susie wants to see 4. Emma wants to see 4. Okay, let's do 4 then. So 4 is going to be that shell style one. It's going to be this one right here. I'll point at it with the shears. That's going to be 4. Just right next to the zigzag. So we'll do that one. All right, let's get this into position. Oh, I've got to set up the rest of the machine. Duh. All right, so I'm going to zero this out. Bring this out to 4. Make sure I have it in place. Yes. It's back to 4. And then I've got to adjust my stitch length as well. Bring this all the way down, right about to there. Yeah, 0.5, 0.75. So we've got this set up now. We moved our slider to number 4. We've adjusted our stitch length to right around 0.75, 0.5, between 0.75, 0.5. And we moved our stitch width back to 4. All right, so let's give this a go. See how we do. Let's see how we do on this. All right, here we go. What happened? Hold on a second. We had a malfunction. Oh, something happened with my bobbin thread. Hold on a second. Something happened with my bobbin thread. Something happened with the bobbin thread. Let's take a look. Oh, yeah, it slid out of position. See that? We got a little loop on there. I must have been a little bit careless in how I wound the bobbin. So let's take this out. And we will reinsert it and get it lined up. I was going to see there's no debris in there. Give me 1 second here. We've done some really heavy duty sewing with this machine. Just going to swab the inside of that bobbin case real quick. Look what we just got. You see that? That's why maintenance is so essential, and ongoing maintenance on the machines. Just with a little bit of sewing that we've done, I shouldn't say a little bit, we've done some pretty crazy sewing. Since I swabbed it before we started the live stream, or at the beginning, we've already collected a lot of debris in there, a lot of debris. So again, the thread is underneath the bottom, bobbin case, get it into that slat. Draw this back into position. Hold that bobbin partly as you're drawing it into place. Pull it through, have that thread on the left side as you pop it back in. Make sure your needle isn't down when you're doing it. We'll draw that thread up. Draw that back into place. Lock that in there. And we'll start a new row because our other one is now botched because our bobbin case misfed. It misfed that thread because there was some debris that it sucked in there and it went wayward. Let's try this again. All right, take 2. We'll see what happens this time. All right, here we go. Check the alignment. Yes. All right, here we go. Take up arm all the way up. I forgot to do that. You hear that machine kind of trying to, it was struggling because I didn't have that take up arm all the way up. The mechanics were kind of binding. So let's give this a try again. Check my thread in the back too. It sounds like my thread was catching a little bit. There we go. So you can see how you can run into a little bit of an obstacle. We were down here, and all of a sudden there was some debris that worked its way into the bobbin case. I always talk about it. The motor will pull junk in. The motor pulls junk in and then it migrates through the machine. It migrated through the machine during those heavy sew-offs that we did. And it got down there. It caused that bobbin to feed the thread and created a little loop down there. We corrected that by kind of swabbing, just took a second just to swab that bobbin case, got that debris off, and then we just laid down some beautiful stitching right there. Same thing on the other side. Through 6 layers of heavy grade denim. I'll give you a closer look at it, but I just wanted to give you an initial glimpse. Yeah, we are getting a little bit of a binding on the back of that thread. Sometimes when you punch a hole, kind of go up here, you punch a hole, there's a little bit of the flap of the paper that is still on there. And what it's doing is it's got a sticky backside because this label goes down for dual duty XP thread. One side smooth on the outside, then the other side, when you punch a hole, it exposes some of the adhesive that holds that label on the spool of thread. And that can sometimes stick to the spool pin as that thread is trying to turn. That's what I heard as it was trying to dispense the thread. So I'm going to peel some of that away off of there so we don't have a stickiness that's trying to grip that spool pin. Right. All right, let's take a look at this sewing. It's not real for someone to do decorative type sewing like this on this much denim, but we tried it anyway. Our first row there in the middle ran into that malfunction. Then we did that little cleaning, and now we're back on track again. We're on track, but the camera is not ready to be on track yet. So let's try this again. Come on, camera. Maybe like this. And I should have made that a little bit more narrow. In other words, I should have gone to a shorter stitch length because the stitch pattern is defined, but it could be better defined if we went with a shorter stitch length. I think I was around 0.75. I should have gone down to about 0.5. But if you're sewing at this level, 6 layers of denim using a decorative stitch that's going to have a lot of needle swing, Um, if there's a malfunction that occurs, as long as you know what to do, it's not a showstopper. We had that little glitch, we corrected it, and then we laid down some beautiful stitching. Turn it over. Look at the thickness of what we just went through again. 6 layers of denim. Lock stitch. Oh, I didn't even cut my thread over there. Ah! All right, let me hold it right there for a second. Okay, now lock stitching. I can't believe we just did that on 6 layers of heavy grade denim. Look at the thickness of that. And we just laid down a decorative stitch. Wow. Wow. Oh my gosh. Oops, upside down. Hold on. Hold on. Holy mackerel. What? What? Oh wow. That's nuts. All right, so we just did 6 layers of heavy grade denim. We did a zigzag, we did a decorative stitch. We did 6 layers of heavy grade canvas, commercial canvas, and we did 3 layers of saddle gray leather. Just those 3 sew offs looks like that. Just those 3. The saddle grade, the canvas, and now the crazy, crazy, crazy 6 layers of heavy grade denim. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Wow. Let me see what our time's like. Tell you what, we're going to cut this a little bit short. We're going to cut this a little bit short. I think we've done enough of the leather. So I'm going to save the genuine elk hide for another sew time. We've done super crazy heavy duty. Now I think we'll do lightweight. I think I'd like to try this velvet, but I don't want to do the velvet with a straight stitch or a zigzag. I want to lay down a decorative stitch on it so we can see what it would look like maybe if you did it on a tree skirting or something like that. Let's see what we can do with this velvet. Velvet is really pretty stuff. Matter of fact, you know what? We'll lay down all the decorative stitches on this. Well, let's lay down all the decorative stitches. Right now we're on stitch number 4. It's the one that we just did. And I think we'll go ahead and, yeah, we'll go ahead and do that next. It's going to make it a little bit shorter. Just a little shorter. All right. So we're going to go decorative on velvet. And I think we'll move towards wrapping this up pretty quick here. Decorative on velvet. Getting kind of junky here. I got to clean my stuff up. All right, so this is stitch number 4. We just did it. We just did it on 6 layers of denim. Now let's do it on 2 thinner pieces of velvet. And I need to make one quick little correction here. I'm going to back off our presser foot pressure just a little bit. Not too much because this is slippery stuff. I'll back it off just a little bit. All right, let's give this a go. See what we get. See what we think. Try to get the right angle so you can see this, hopefully. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. All right, let's go. Here we go. Wait, angle a little bit more. There we go. kind of wish I had made that even shorter, but that's pretty good. Again, you're always going to choose different when you've got discretion. When you've got discretion to make something shorter or longer, people are going to choose different options. So I went a little bit longer than some people might. They might have tightened this up even more. All right, we get that into position. Beautiful stitching. Get that clip. All right, let's get that back right into position again. We're going to do the next one. And to do that, all we're going to do is change. We got to zero out. I'm going to kind of do it like this on an angle. We're going to zero out our stitch width down to 0 so we can move our slider to position 3. Take our stitch width back. I'm going to shorten it just a little bit more, tighten it up a little bit more. And now we'll adjust our camera back down so we can see that sewing action. All right, so here's our next stitch off. Again, we're using Cam A revised, so it has an A and then it has a little I after it. And now we're going to be doing stitch number 3 on Cam AI. All right, here we go. Now we're going to be going to stitch 2. Get that back into position again. So all we're going to do is take our stitch width, zero it down, take it from 4 down to 0, move our slider out to position 2, move our stitch width back. I think our stitch length is pretty good. I'm not going to mess around with our stitch length, which is right there. And now we'll do our next sew off, which is this is going to be stitch number 2 on Cam A revised. A revised. Take up arm all the way up. All right, here we go. Let me just back it up a little bit so I get more in line with the other ones. Oh, interesting. You'll notice that our stitch line that we just finished, which is kind of this combing stitch, right about 2.5 inches up. Again, this is a real slippery material. Remember, I backed off that presser foot pressure a little bit. And because of the needle movement demand on this, the material slipped just a little bit. So the stitches are compressed at a certain point right around there. We'll see that when we look at it closer. And that was my mistake in assuming thinner material, lighter presser foot pressure. And so I backed it off. I should have left it where it was at, because this is a slippery material, and it tends to try to move a little bit as you're sewing it. So you can learn from my mistakes, and even though a material is thinner, if it's got a slippery factor to it, you might have to increase that presser foot pressure nonetheless. All right, so let's do our final decorative stitch, and then we'll look at all of these, and you'll have a chance to appreciate what Cam A revised can generate through these Swedish beauties. We're only going to be getting the tip of the iceberg as far as decorative ornamental stitching from this machine, but at least gives us a glimpse into what it can do. So again, stitch width down to 0, move our slider all the way up to position 1, stitch width back, and now we'll do our final decorative ornamental stitch from Cam A Revised. Cam A Revised. That's some beautiful stitching. This is where it had that little glitch right there. And that was a feed issue right there. There's a feed issue. We'll look at that closer right in this little region right there. So I just bumped my presser foot pressure back up. We should be okay, hopefully. All right, here we go. This is our McDonald's stitch. Our McDonald's stitch. Presser foot pressure is so important. I talk about it all the time, and sometimes I set myself up for failure by not taking into account that it's not just the thickness of the material or the layers, but it's also the texture of the material as well. Is it slippery? Does it have kind of a slick side to it? So there you go. Lesson learned. Lesson learned. Oh yeah, we got a little thing on the bottom there and everything. We'll take a look at that. You can see what happens when the feed is interrupted because of the material being slick. The feed is interrupted, and all of a sudden, your material is not advancing, and that decorative stitch is doing its needle swing, and it's trying to do what it normally would do when it's in locomotion, but you get that binding factor. All right, blah blah blah. Let's look at these. The one on the top is the first one we did. Beautiful, beautiful representation of that stitch pattern. Beautiful representation. Right below it is that 3-point zigzag. And then it's kind of that combing stitch where I had backed off that presser foot pressure and we got a glitch. And then we ended up stitching that final row. I call it kind of the McDonald's symbol on that bottom row. But some beautiful stitching all the way across on this real slippery velvet ribbon material that you might use at Christmas time or the holidays for jazzing up your house a little bit. Go across and look at that. Beautiful stitching, apart from our one little hiccup. Pause right there. There's our glitch. See that glitch? The second row from the bottom. There's our little glitch right there. And you'll see exactly what happened when I flip it over to show the lock stitch, where that thread was basically stalled as the material wouldn't move, and we got a bunching effect. So now this is going to be shocking. Let me turn it over. 2 layers of velvet material. We're going to turn it over now. Look at that lock stitch, and you'll see exactly what happened. Let me turn it like this so we can look at it. Yeah, that makes more sense. It emphasizes again how important presser foot pressure is. That's upside down, isn't it? Hold on. There we go. That makes more sense. There's our stall point right there. Look at that. See what happened? Well, this has been a lot of fun. We've kind of taken a different approach with a Swedish Beauty than we typically do. We're taking a little bit of a different approach. And we started out super hardcore. Kind of launched off with this 3 layers of saddle grade leather. 3 layers of saddle grade leather. Laying down a combination of straight stitching and zigzagging. That's when we had those couple little places where we skipped a stitch and we talked about changing out the needle, and the needle rallied and said, "You aren't going to change anything, buddy. I'm going to finish this race out. I'm going to finish this race." And we laid down some beautiful, but the main thing is we went through so much leather. It's just absolutely insane. Again, about 12 ounces of saddle grade leather. Then we went into another equally difficult sew off. Someone had said, let's do the commercial canvas. Let's do the commercial grade canvas. So someone was probably expecting me to do 2, maybe 3 layers of it. We pushed it all the way up to 6 layers, which is what that looks like right there. 6 layers of commercial canvas. And we laid down a beautiful straight stitch and also a zigzag on that material as well. Beautiful stitching. We continued hardcore, kind of like Candido said, no fear. And then we launched into 6 layers of heavy grade denim. That's about as much denim as you ever want to see. 6 layers is really pushing the machine to a new level. And we didn't just lay down a utility type stitch like a straight and a zigzag. We certainly did a zigzag. But then we also decided, after we overcame our bobbin case glitch, where some sort of, you saw it on the Q-tip, some sort of debris got into the bobbin case and caused it to misfeed the thread. And we ran into a little bit of a stall right there in the middle. We corrected that, and then we moved on and laid down some beautiful stitching right there across the top of those 6 layers of heavy grade denim. It's almost like a sunburst, isn't it? It's kind of a sunburst type stitch. It's really quite pretty. Same thing on the lock stitch as well. Beautiful stitching. It still blows me away. So we've tried to push it. Oh, and then finally we laid down on these 2 super thin layers of velvet, this velvet material. We laid down all of the decorative stitches that Cam A Revised would do. The sunburst shell type thing up here, 3-point zigzag, the combing stitch ran into that little misfeed right there because of traction. It's real slippery stuff. And then finally the McDonald's stitch right there we laid down as well. It just shows you can run into challenges. You can run into challenges when you're working through a wide field of materials, especially when you're on a live stream where anything can go wrong. And it's okay to see that, because you look at the totality of the stitching all here, you see one little hiccup as this real slippery material was misfed by those feed dogs because I had reduced the presser foot pressure. And then we turned that presser foot pressure back up and we laid down this McDonald's stitch here, which has actually more needle movement. If you look at the 2, as far as the complexity, has just as much more than the one above. And it worked out perfectly because we increased that presser foot pressure again. So this is a 1958 Type 21 from California that I'll replace the needle, rewind the bobbin again, get a nice full bobbin in there, and then I'll pack this up for Sandra to head back out to Torrance, California sometime this week. And I appreciate you joining me on a busy Saturday. And thank you to the moderating team for taking care of the family while we're going through all these steps, mitigating some obstacles, and just continuing to get it done, you know. But our sew off sandwich for today, not a lot of sew offs when you look at it. But when you look at the thickness of what we did because of the hardcore approach we took, that's what our sew off on this live stream looks like today. Yeah. Put my finger over that one. It's fun. Yeah, it's okay to have things presented challenges as long as we know what to do, right? All right. Well, y'all enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you to everybody. And I don't know if we'll live stream on Tuesday or not. If I have another machine ready or something else to present to you, we'll live stream on Tuesday. Otherwise, we might take a break from Tuesday and come back together again in 1 week from today. We'll wait and see. Just kind of keep watch. All right. Take care, everybody. I'll put on some polka music to wrap us up. Eventually put on some polka music. Oh, wow. Welcome welcome to hold on, where's it? Welcome to Samar. Hold on a second, I can stop the music real quick. Welcome to Samar from Iraq. What a pleasure to have you here. And if you speak Arabic, I will say Assalamu alaikum, kefalik walhamdulillah. That's my Arabic. And those of you that speak Arabic know exactly what I just said. So it's wonderful to have Samar. Susie just sent me a text letting me know that. Samar from Iraq, and most likely, I would guess an Arabic speaker. So again, Assalamu alaikum. All right, back to polka music. got to be a way to play music and do that at the same time, I would assume. Let's see if I can figure that out. Oops, wrong one. Technology, there we go. All right, take care, everybody. God bless. And thank you to the moderating team as well. Take care, everybody. See ya.